Welcome everybody to episode 19, podcast 19. I'm joined
Hello.
with hello. I'm joined with
Hi, hello.
Legi, myself,
Hello.
Manny, and we're on. This is the first pod. This is into settlers a little bit, experiencing settlers 3.25. Easy and I were talking a bit beforehand that we both thoroughly enjoy the league, one of our favorites ever. But I'm curious what you guys think, and maybe if you want to expand on that a little bit, Easy, why you're saying it's one of your favorites.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, again, just every aspect of it, right? I mean, getting to interact with this town. I mean, it feels like, again, the best parts of like Heist whenever it came out. Like building up character. I don't know, and just getting to have the map runners running all the time is definitely the biggest highlight. I mean, I know some people might think it's like micromanagey, but I don't know. I really enjoy knowing that like I can do maps 4 times as efficient, because I have 18 guys running maps with me in solo self-bound. So, yeah, that's great. The new boss fights they're kind of a walkover, but I mean, it's nice to have like new boss fights, so those are fun. Um, the weapon enchants are super crazy. I know that I think we're all, you know, trying to get after some power runes.
Yeah.
But even some of the lesser enchants, for the lightning strike build I'm playing, the enemies killed from your hits are destroyed, like massive quality of life, right? Because like you don't have the DDs to worry about anymore. It just makes mapping so much safer. So yeah, just between the league and all that it's offering so far, it's been a lot of fun to kind of dive into.
Nice. Hard agree. Leggy, how about yourself?
I've shared kind of the same sentiment as Easy. There's a lot of good in this league. There is, cool ways to minimax, very nice ways to like put player agency into the ways you want to farm, which is always a highlight in a PO league for me. That you have a choice that you can make, and then you get a result that you worked on, which is always a pleasure when the devs put that in. So overall, I think this is gonna be like literally one of the best leagues we're gonna get. I mean, since ever. I don't know. Like I think last league I enjoyed that much was, I feel like, Crucible or Ritual, like one of those leagues. Like it's been
Crucible.
a great league. Did I say Crucible? I want to say Sanctum because of the base game. I don't know why I said Crucible. But one thing I obviously want to contrast that with, as much as I love this league and I think it's going to be an amazing league, great league, like so many great additions with it. I'm just kind of worried that this like mobile gaming thing gonna become a norm. Like I really don't want that to happen, because it's like sprinkling crack on crack, as one of the other streamers said. It's like,
Yeah.
we love this this Path of Exile thing, but let's add some like, oh, you need to check on the town every 30 minutes, or you need to check on this. So like keep playing, keep doing things, keep being logged in. Oh, the new pop-up is coming. Like, that's the thing I'm really worried about. This is gonna become a mainstay in PO, which I really would love not to happen. That's the thing I worry about. But other than that, for one league, I think it's amazing. Like having a blast. Great league.
Nice. How about yourself, Manny?
Yeah, I was gonna make the same point. Like, I like the league. I like it as a league, but I really wish it doesn't go core already.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be great for a league, but I can already see it's starting to become tedious already. Going to the town every like 2 hours to fill up the map devices. I don't know, I'm kind of getting slightly annoyed already.
Yeah.
Like, not that I would complain right now. This is definitely gonna be fun for another month or so, but I'm not wishing for this one to be core. I can already tell you that much. But it's definitely a very new approach. Like the league feels very different than other leagues. It's like a well thought out league, and it feels like it's in the center of the game. Like, it's the main thing I think about, building the town, especially early on in the league, like farming gold, building a town. It was very important. It was like not just some league mechanic that you kind of just toss aside and it's just a minor part, but it was like a major part of the league so far, and it's, I guess, how league should be, right? High impact.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Memorable.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I
go
agree.
ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that like I feel pretty much the same way as all of you guys have felt, and then, like I wouldn't want it to go core in the sense that I don't want that level of constant attention to be like a key point of every league going forward, because it is a lot, like you said, at least every 2 hours, because if you're sending 30-minute boats, then it's every 30 minutes, but if your map runners every 2 hours are going through it, and then that's a lot of loot to process, and like just time to take. And then I've had this like eternal struggle, it seems, this league with every single day I at least lose one or two rank 10 map runners. So it's like, for me, it's been even more annoying to deal with that, because it's like I have to refine them then and all that stuff. So like I was saying to Easy before we started, but like a couple little minor tweaks, like the fact that rank 10 map runner has the same odds of dying in a 16 as they do in a tier 1. Like it's always 1%, so like that feels a little grating to be like kind of managing that, I guess. And like the addition of gold, I like as a concept, but to me it feels a little like the pickup radius is kind of on the lower side, because if you're going at any sort of speed in a map, I'd like to have to keep backtracking to like pick up piles of gold has been like kind of annoying. And it seems like the people have just been hiding it, which I feel like is maybe not a temporary solution to a permanent problem if gold's going to be in the game for much longer. And a lot of people I've talked to have really loved the currency exchange thing. I can't really speak to that because I haven't played it, but it's like revitalized a lot of people's
It's really good.
play. I mean, if for some reason that didn't get added, that would be insane to the core. So I'm assuming it's going to be added to the core of the game. So that'd be kind of like going back, and that might feel impossible now. But yeah, I mean, Faustus was really cool in the first couple days, like with the gold introduction. I liked him. I don't really use him now, so like unless I wanted to try to gamble for a specific unique, but it kind of feels like a bit fruitless maybe, like that, to even do that. But no, overall, I think enjoy it. Everything's pretty much cool. Were you gonna say Easy earlier?
Yeah, just to kind of tail in to the end of what Manny was saying though too. As far as like interacting with the league throughout the story, I found myself interacting with the league much more, throughout the story, where, typically, might try a league mechanic once or twice, and then it's like, all right, I'll just wait to get into maps and then, start to figure it out. But I had fun kind of jumping in and out of town, um, through the progression, which again, that's the whole point, right, of a league,
Yeah.
is to interact with it. But most of the time we're trying to be so efficient, get to story, and I was having fun even in the very beginning. It's like, I don't care if I'm an hour slower, I'd rather, you know, be checking this town out or doing something, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely rewarding to like actually start progressing early. Like they struck a very good balance with like how much gold you get through story and how much impact you're gonna get from the boats, and like you can start, feeling the mm, mm, the building process of the town, and it's just good. I agree with Easy. It's very nice that the league mechanic doesn't feel like completely obsolete in story, and you start like working towards a bit bigger goals from the very get go. It's always welcome.
Agree.
Yeah, it's one of the first league mechanics in a while where doing it during the campaign actually felt good.
Yeah.
That's
No,
nice.
There's a lot of like early rewards also from interacting with the league mechanic, as far as getting like a 6 link, or getting some of that like more smart rolled gear. I know the ward gear has been like one that's on like the forefront of, if you were, I mean, historically, I would say in PoE, trying to acquire ward gear has not been like the easiest thing as far as interacting with Expedition and trying to get it. And then like, it would just drop sparsely as a drop. And the concept that now you could just send a boat and in 2 hours have a full page of like smart rolled ward gear is kind of insane. I mean, as far compared to what we used to have. So not to mention ward is just like super strong now, and then how it interacts with block is super strong. So having that introduced into the game is like pretty cool. The constant flow of like, people say bubblegum currency from your ships and your mappers has been like super nice. So I don't have to like, there's that part where you start cranking your filter up maybe to be more strict when you're doing like 17, so you're not showing as much obviously, and then every now and then you might run out of like a smaller currency, and it feels like it's not really much of an issue. Not that it was really an issue before, but like a minor annoyance, I guess I would say, where it's like I don't ever run out of like shit currency now because I just have it through my mappers and my boats. I can just hit take all when a currency boat comes in and be like, all right, cool, I've got that, in the back if I need it. So that's been always really fun, I think, with the mechanic. What was I gonna say? You guys get anything crazy from the boats early on, or the mappers that really feel like benefited your, earlier starting experience?
Well, I didn't really get much from the mappers early because mappers are kind of hard to scale really early on,
Yeah.
and like when you don't run good maps and like good 16s, you don't get much gold, so it's really hard to sustain early on. So mappers not really early on, but overall boats, I got a couple divines, like 2-3 divines early, and I think like a 5 link or something like that. So early on, it wasn't really that impactful for me since I kind of didn't interact with the mechanic as much as I should have, knowing all I know right now. But like late game, mappers are kind of cracked. They are better at finding +1s than I am.
Yeah.
They're literally finding uniques for me for the collection.
Yeah, they're good.
Gonna put that out of job right now,
True. I think I have seen at least 3 tinctures from the mappers at this point, which has been
the funny example was for me. I had a mapping team bring me 3 different nameless rings in one day, like all 3 of them, the new ones. So just
I haven't seen one of those.
hilarious.
We have seen I got the scepter from Trial Master. I know Manni had the shield. So like there's been a lot of goofy things like that. Like people don't understand, I guess, that if you didn't know, the map runners, whatever's on their table for loot is anything that can occur in a map that you would clear in a map effectively, it seems. So Abyss bosses, Harvest bosses, Trial Master, Breach bosses, any of that stuff that can spawn in a map, your map runners can like legally hit and kill. So we've been getting back like boss uniques or very popular ones, the small clusters. I have people pulled interrogations like off of their map runners. So
Yeah, I got 2 of them actually. 2 interrogations.
Yeah. It's very funny.
Oh,
yeah.
You guys put in daily maps for that? Like
no, I didn't. No,
just regular maps. But I've also been.
I haven't seen any of those.
I tried a real cope strat in the beginning to like deli orb the maps for like for a shot at the insane cat. But yeah, that's super cope.
Yeah, I know you could. They do follow the basic. They're not on your atlas, but they do follow the basic atlas div card stuff. So if you put in, whatever, like Spider Forest, you could get a doctor hypothetically. So like that sort of stuff does work. And you were mentioning the patient.
It's our best way to farm rare cards this league because they just run all the time, right?
Yeah.
The drop rate per map is very low, but they will be pumping those maps 3 maps at a time for like 12 hours a day if you put new maps in constantly. So they will eventually find the apothecaries and doctors, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely.
I believe.
Yeah, I got a buddy. He's going for unique collection as well, and he's been running Coral Ruins, and he pulled the replica baited card from his guys a couple days ago. So he's like, that's how I'm gonna farm my replica betas through map runners, right? It's like, why not?
Yeah.
I randomly put in Sal's map because I ran out of some map that I was running, and they brought me a Benos card. So yeah, great. Thank you.
There you go. Yeah, they've been definitely pretty cool. I know that I've been like bitching about the maintenance of the mappers, and it definitely could just. I think it's totally anecdotal, my experience, and not the average one. But how have you guys been with managing gold, managing your mappers and sailors dying or losing them? Like, has that been a grading experience, or just kind of like it happens once every 4 or 5 days, and you just get a new one? Like, how's been the upgrade process of your town when it comes to using the like reroll high quality? I've kind of had like mixed feelings about the high quality reroll versus the base reroll, and with like how they reroll with multiple high rolls, which somehow can make the cost go up. So like that whole experience. So curious, just starting with you, Easy, how's your experience been with managing the workers and the gold situation?
I think it's been fine, at least for me. because again, if you're farming like big T17 maps, either shrines or, big box maps, I mean, you can pull out a bunch of gold. And another, good way is, the magic monster scarab, or, if you got like big bloodlines, like a big, T17, you can put the bloodlines on, because I think a lot of the gold comes from maybe magic monsters.
Yeah.
So as far as like gold upkeep, I haven't really had too much of an issue. So I don't mind, re-rolling my guys, because I feel like I now have like a, multiple millions of gold in the bank at all times. Um, as far as like the re-rolls and stuff, again, that's probably one of my favorite. It's really the only change that they made, and that's kind of a testament to how good the league was implemented too, right? But like, they didn't have to make any major buffs to the league or changes to the league for the most part, right? But one of the ones that they did, like you mentioned, was the change to the high roll, because it was kind of pointless to use before. But
Yeah.
after they made that change, it feels great for the high re-rolls, because you could just, again, everything in this game is optimized in time, and how quick can you get stuff done. So if I don't have to look through 10 pages, and I can look through 1 page of optimized stuff, that's been really nice. I'd say on a typical day, if I'm running a lot of like 30-minute shipments, I might lose a couple sailors and a couple mappers a day. But I typically always have a full bench of 9s or 10s ready to go.
Yeah.
I think my main board right now is, like, mapper wise, I think I'm only missing 4 10s, and the sailors I don't really find, for how I'm using them, it doesn't really matter if they're 9s or 10s. So, you know, I personally am not struggling too much with it.
Nice. I bet
Yeah,
you're
same.
yeah.
I mean, it's pretty fair, I think. Like, there needs to be some kind of gold sink, right? That's the whole point, I think, of these guys being able to die even
Yep.
with maxed out levels. So every now and then you're gonna have to interact with the mechanic and hire new people and spend some gold, I think.
Yeah.
It can be frustrating, I guess, early on when you get your first tier 10 mapper and he dies in the second map, and yeah, it can be quite painful, but like usually on average it's fine, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Leggy?
I mean, sorry, I would say that it's the same with as easy, right? Like when you are in the very end game and you play quite a bit, then the gold becomes really not an issue because you're running like really big maps that drop a lot of gold. But I would like to stress that you don't have to be in T17 maps to earn a lot of gold. There are a lot of strats that revolve like T16 maps that that are really easy, I would say, to get a lot of gold, and they kind of work to progress a lot of other things as well. And I would say, yeah, it's the magic monsters that drop most of the gold. So if you want to spawn a lot of magic monsters, then you want to add shrines, for example. And shrines give you speed and power, and just speed run through T16 maps with shrines that progress so many things in current PoE right now. And you're going to get so much gold. So one thing I thought to myself, like at some point, is like, if I want to run a map, it always should have a shrine on domination on Kirak. It always should have it if I want a full clear map, which you want to do because of the nameless seer, but that's besides the point.
Yep.
So always put domination unless you want to different strat that that revolves around like ambush, which also been very good. So yeah, about the town, I'm kind of the same with easy. Like, as if you have enough gold, then it's not a problem to replace the sailors. And also, if you're doing the 30-minute shipments, you always have enough space on the bench to like hire a couple like rank 5 dudes, rank 3 dudes, and they can send like 2 bars, and it's not a problem, right?
Yeah.
And if those die, you can just replace them. So it's not a problem to save gold and to replace idiots that are dying and bad at the game.
Bad build, they deserve it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple other gold sinks too, right? Like the Faustus gambling, but I'm not really sure how good that really is in the end game. But maybe we'll try it eventually.
There's so for the fastest gambling, and I've heard this. I don't know if you guys can corroborate, but they're generic by base. So like a boot will get you a boot of any type, but they are locked to eye level. Is that still the case? Because that's what I was been told that. As far as like if you get a character to like 36 or whatever, you could just sit there and gamble Ralakesh boots. Has anyone had any experience with this?
It does kind of work. I'm about to try
Thanks.
this with Dusk Blades, right? The Ephemeral Edge.
Yeah.
A level 40 character. Supposedly you get it quite often for every couple 100k gold.
Yeah.
Could be similar with Cash then.
I know if you're trying to get a hits can't be an RT one.
I'm working on that, yeah. That's the
Do you
plan
know
right
about
now.
the mythic orb way? That was
Yeah.
pretty easy for me.
I'm gonna, yeah. Well, supposedly it takes around 200k gold to get a Dusk plus with RT from Faustus, and then you gotta hit the Mythic Orb after, so we're probably talking millions of gold still, but
Yeah.
I'll try.
Yeah. We're going off top. That's fine. What build do you want to play with that? I thought it was a trickster, but I don't know what do you
It is a trickster, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm probably just gonna play Lightning Strike because it's probably the best version of it now. It's basically what people played with Splitting Steel before, but now that Lightning Strike is buff, we'll probably play that. But
Nice.
it's a shell that we can put like any melee skill on, right?
Yeah,
Maybe I'll play some
yeah.
Smite, or I could play Molten Strike. I could play whatever I feel like.
That was the build I was using in standard to do like hundreds of Ubers. Was the Splitting Steel build. It felt very good. So I'm assuming it's going to feel basically identical, but lightning striking now.
I mean, probably better, right? Because
yeah.
ES bases are insane, like absolutely nutty.
Yep. Big old amounts.
Like 18k ES. I've seen some other SSF players reach already.
Yeah.
In just week 2, it's kind of crazy.
Big values. You mentioned the build you're planning on. We all had, I think, different starters. What was everyone's starter build, and like what was that experience like, and would you recommend it? Easy.
So I started Lightning Strike Slayer. I couldn't recommend it higher. Some of the most fun I feel like I've had leveling. And again, real nice progression into Endgame. The ceiling is basically, infinite, which is nice. Like on an attack build, you can always find, 0.5, 1% DPS upgrades here or there, or change the archetype or whatever. But just the early mapping and getting fourth watchstone versus a bow character, just night and day. The skill is obviously a lot of fun. The changes to endurance charges probably are what carry and make it feel so comfy early though as well. So yeah, Lightning Strike Slayer. I was juggling the Slayer and Warden, and been super happy with Slayer. I know Warden had some kind of quirky stuff, and you have to tincture this, tincture that, and so I'm really glad that now my Lightning Strike's a one button build, and it feels great mapping, and I'm still having a lot of fun with it. So super recommended. And if it unchanged, would play again.
Nice. Legi, how about yourself? You're playing the Archmage one, right?
Yeah, I started as a ball lightning of orbiting Archmage Hierophant, which has been amazing, honestly. Like, obviously, you have to pay the lap tax, but you have to pay the lap tax on a lot of characters right now. Yeah. Lap tax, I mean, which is far like an SSF or not even SSF in trading as well, farming your Transfigure gem in like Merc Lab or later on Uber Lab. So that's kind of annoying. But like after you pay the lap tax, and then you just cruising, Like I spent I think 2 hours on the grind for the gems. But the nice thing about it is also you just gear really nicely in Mirror Club. Pretty much you just get all the entry gear, and you don't have to like even pick up gear and maps until like T16, where you replace your gear for a good one. So that's perfect. So I think it's like honestly people doom about the lab thing too much, and it's been great. And from there I just cruised to all the bosses, all the watch some bosses, kill like Maven. I don't know, 10 hours into the game. It's super nice. And then later on, I switched to Ice Nova variant when I got Kidabas first, which kills your retinas, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You at least get some damage. So that's nice. And I've been doing Ice Nova in like T17s and stuff. But I kind of want to try Lightning Strike Slayer as well. I'm rolling that now, pretty much. So I think Lightning Strike is the skill of the league. So
yeah, I'd say that's probably the cock DD of this league, the all rounder that is good at all stages, at all content. the number one build to recommend.
Yeah, definitely. And like you were mentioning, it's good at kind of all levels. There's something I think really nice about a skill you could level with that is also your endgame skill. Like I think that's really fun progression to see in a character, where it's like I kind of had a similar-ish experience as far as being early, like day one. Like I started as Perforate this league because the bleed updates, and like you get Perforate. I think it was like literally level 4 or something, or level whatever it was. So it's like just getting to use your skill for like the entire time was like a lot of fun. But yeah, definitely want to check out the Lightning Strike as well. I've heard nothing but good things. Are there any like pieces to the puzzle that you guys feel are mandatory for that build, or kind of like how Legi mentioned the Katava's Thirst for the Ice Nova one? Like, not that you need it, but you probably want to have it. Is there anything similar to that for Lightning Strike, where it's like you may as well just get this before starting?
Not really, honestly. Like that build kind of needs mostly rares, and like there are cool items like Taming you can throw on, which is insane damage anyway on that build. Like you play Taming in Endgame in a lot of versions, so that's great. And like you can just scale it to infinity. Like there's so many ways to scale that build, like tankiness wise, damage wise. You can go like Squire route, Nemesis route, like insane rares, Ralakesh Impatience, Frenzy stacking. Like there's so many like avenues to make that build like insane. And from you start from nothing and you can like just scale it to infinity. And that's crazy thing about it. And it's like, one-stop shop for map clear, boss damage, survivability. So yeah.
And if you ever get enough runes, you can go for the perma Val Lightning Strike setup too.
Yeah.
But you need a Squire as well, I suppose.
Can you elaborate on what that is more, just for people who don't know?
There's an enchant that you can put on daggers this league that makes soul game prevention non-existent. So you click Val skill and it can instantly gain souls again from its own damage, basically. So you can just chain them and clear maps with it. It's only for gems in the dagger that is enchanted though, so it's only a free link unless you use the Squire.
Yeah.
But it's pretty insane when you set it up.
Nice.
And you can use like a shaper weapon as well to like get even more links and get some flat from somewhere else. So it's like you can cheat a lot of links and just play Val skill of your choice, like Val.
Yeah. Or
Volcanic Fissure or Lightning Strike. Yeah.
If you're super lucky, you can just get a Hate Forge from your mapper. Which legally can happen.
True.
I haven't seen it, but you saw some.
How many have you seen?
Hate Forges?
I've seen. No, how many Trial Master loot rewards have you seen?
Only one. I've seen 3 gamble sprints in my map runners, which is I know a lot. Yeah. But I've seen 3 gamble sprints and then just the 1 staff. So that's the only Trial Master specific. But yeah,
I've seen 2 relic of the pacts, but that's not from Trial Master. That's from like just Ultimatum. But
yeah, two gamble sprints, and then I got the shield as well.
You're right. Relic is now global, right? But I had the relic in my map device today, but it came with Tainted Catalyst, so they killed Trial Master in the same run as they got the relic, I guess. Maybe it's still in the drop pool there.
I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, it's very possible that there's some like fuck you drop pool stuff going on with the mappers. They're not legally dropping the M's, right? It's like a simulated sheet system.
Yeah.
So who knows?
That's why they get Life Force too, right? They don't get Oshabi to drop, but they get Sacred Life Force right away.
Also, like
exactly what I was about to say.
I don't know how they're some things are happening in my map runners that I don't know how they're doing it. Like I got an I-86 cluster, and I don't from a 16, and I don't know how that was happening. But
yeah, they're sometimes cheating.
Because that and I saw an I-85 nameless ring also, and I was like, how the hell did you get that to happen? So I don't know. There's been some stuff. They definitely got their own secret streamer client going on, They get the more fun maps.
They are literally better at finding loot than I am, so that's really depressing.
It is.
Yeah, same. They got me to 0 already, and I got more keys from them, like Voidbone keys, than I found myself.
Valdo's boxes. I've only gotten 1 Voidbone, but I've gotten like 6 or 7 Valdo's boxes. And we're all, just to how are we setting up our map runners for a map? Like, I've just been putting in pretty much, I just alch a set of 12 16s and toss them in. And if you have rank 10 map runners, it's like always 1%. Sometimes I'll just throw in corrupted maps if I have them, and it's still pretty much 1%. What do you guys' setups been like, as far as, you know, are you thinking about what you're putting in more? Because you mentioned like specific for div cards or delirium orbs, that sort of stuff.
I mean, ideally, I think you would have the layout you want to run for cards. Like, I want to get to the point where I just have a quad tip of default cathedrals, and then I feed my map runners with that.
Yep.
And hope they bring something back. I usually val my maps too. So they drop a lot more stuff if they're corrupted.
Easy.
Yeah, I've been throwing in promenades. They probably brought maybe 20 patient cards for me or so. So, you know, that's pretty good. And like Manny said, I val my maps, and at first I was just giving them the non-8 mods and then keeping the 8 mods to run myself. But once you have like 6 tier 10s, they can run the 8 mods as well.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much
What
the same
about,
story for me.
Manny's starter build? We got to hear about that too.
Oh
'cause
yeah,
I wanna
yeah.
hear about
Well, I want
some
yeah, you hear
slam
about hear about both of them because he started in Trade League also.
Oh yeah, because you did that
Yeah, I
private
did.
league too,
He's
right?
he's
Yeah,
quit
I
he's
did
quit
the-
solo self found. He is no longer solo self found player.
I did start
Traitor.
a trade privately to try the auction house, and yeah, like unrelated to the question, but the auction house is pretty awesome. Like, I could totally see myself actually going back to Trade League for a bit next league or so, because it's so convenient, man.
Yeah.
Like, you want to do any strat and you can instantly buy all the scarabs in your hideout and stuff like that, or you want to craft for some fossils or something, instantly buy everything. I might be a Trade League fan. Like, it looks really good.
Honestly, I mean,
Yeah.
I agree just from the tertiary sense, not to cut you off, but like one of the biggest problems we've had with trade for literally 11 years of PoE is the friction of having to trade for everyday items. Like, I get the rares, I get the uniques being a different thing. I totally understand that, not having an auction house for those sort of things. But just like the crafts you need to play the game, like that was such unnecessary friction. And now that it's removed, that's honestly one of the biggest barriers to entry to just like retention, which is why I think the retention is literally higher than ever before this league, is because you could just hop in, do what you want to do, and not have to be dealing with a Russian bot at 4 a.m. who won't give you regrets. Like, it's just so much better for that.
It might give you regrets, but not the ones that you want.
True.
Yeah.
But yeah, Manny, sorry, your league starters.
So yeah, I had 2 league starters. The Trade League start I did was a Locust Miner. So the idea is you play Power Siphon, link it to Locust Mines. Locust Mines usually has this downside where you can't control where they aim, right? They aim at your character instead, and it's really bad. But Power Siphon aiming completely overrides that, and then you can play Locust Mine without the downside, and Locust Mine has insane damage to make a wonder viable on league start. So that was pretty fun. That was like good mapper, good bosser, 17s, Ubers, everything was cool. I then restarted in SSF, and went for a bit of a meme start with the slams, going out of my comfort zone a little bit, playing a melee build with big slams, and yeah, very strong this league. But I'm rerolling. I'm getting tired of it after a week. I have to click my Warcraft every 5 seconds. My fingers don't like it after a week.
How many buttons you have to push for that build? Like, are you? Because I know you're with Warcries. There's a couple. There is auto exertion, but you have to at least click like 2 or 3, right?
I have 4 Warcries.
That's too much.
That need to be. Yeah, I need to not only exert with them, but their buffs are insanely good for the chieftain, right? I'm building around the buffs that I get from the Warcries, so even if I'm not fighting, I have to click them to get my movement speed, my armor, my regen, my endurance charges. So yeah, gotta click them every 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's a lot of buttons compared to Lightning Strike, which is no buttons. That's
yeah.
Just no button.
No button better.
Another worry about what I don't like about the build currently is that there's so many map mods that kind of screw me over. Because there's like these map mods that it wasn't even a problem before, but like less cooldown recovery means my Warcry suddenly have half a minute cooldown and I can't use them. Or like faster buff expiration means I don't have my buffs most of the time.
Yeah.
So there's these things that I wasn't even aware would be a problem that are.
That's a good point though. There's a lot of builds that are slated as being like super strong or really good league starts or even good bossers do have these like unknown levels of complication that you don't really know until you start to get into them. Like, not only just the buttons that the slam builds play, but just the fact that there are a slew of 6-7 map modifiers that make it a much more kind of detrimental experience.
I mean, I can chime in on that because like it's kind of the same with Archmage in a sense, right? Because like people tout it as the insane tanky build that survives everything, but like if you don't, dot your I's and like cross your T's on that build, like fixing elements, like getting some like stun avoidance, like you just die all the time. And like
Yep.
I had some people coming to me and it's like, oh, I'm dying all the time on my Hierophant. What can I do? And it's like, yeah, it's very deceptive in a lot of builds when it comes to like,
Get
oh,
better
you have
gear.
to do
Yeah.
this exact thing, yeah, to like fix those problems that you never thought that they're gonna be there.
You know, I'm playing that build now, and I'm probably moving on pretty soon here for one reason. Like, you know, after doing crushing 17s and all that sort of stuff, and trying to start doing Uber bossing, I tried doing Uber serious on this build, and like I can't fucking see the floor at all. And doing that fight without being able to see the floor, I mean, as tanky as you are, if he spawns a storm underneath you and like you can't see it for 2 seconds, I'm just dead. So like there's like that level of frustration with that. Like, you know, doing Uber Shaper, no problem. Piss easy, you know, not an issue. But even doing Uber, like the Uber Pinnacle Elder, if I were to kill like a little tentacle squid thingy and that dot goes underneath me and I don't like, you know, my first form of noticing it is that I see something on my debuff bar after a second or two and I'm already kind of taking damage. Like that sort of downside is not really advertised in the build inherently, I would say. And to your
it's
point,
kind of like soft skills of a build, right?
Yeah, well, it's like I mean, and also like, you know, I don't understand just from this is like a real niche gripe, but like we have the ability to toggle invisibility for auras. Why can't we do it for spells? Because I would, in a heartbeat, like I would buy the invisibility MTX for Ice Nova, and literally be able to play better. But yeah, there's like the build's really fun, but that is definitely the obvious downside. You mentioned the stun thing. Like the stun thing is actually super relevant for this build. Ailment immunity super relevant. You mentioned map mods. If you get the map mod that says you can't leech, like that one kind of sucks also. And like there's a bunch of stuff like that, like CDR for Arcane Cloak. So yeah, all builds have their pitfalls, except for Lightning Strike Slayer, it seems. That seems to be the one that just is better to play.
There are a couple of pitfalls there as well, but like when it comes to Archmage, like there's a curve. Like you first are really powerful, then you kind of suck, and then you get insane gear and you just can leech through everything and everything dies because you have infinite damage. So like, yeah, if you are not exactly there on the curve, that you can ignore everything, Lighty. So,
I'm at the end of the curve, but I do feel like the things I die to aren't things that I don't know if the Cirrus storms and that sort of like just not be able to see is the problem I can't get around.
it doesn't matter. Like when you have enough damage, you just one shot him. So
That's
it doesn't
fair.
matter.
I'll wait, maybe wait to the hyper end if I get my all my perfect gear.
Yeah, you can just one shot everything with that build. So that's what I'm planning to do. Like most of the league, which is gonna be like gear my mana man to be really strong and just kill Ubers with it.
What do you think is like the sort of end game gearing for this, like getting awakened spell echo and like doing charge stacking and that sort of stuff?
There is a lot of ways to build that character. I even there was ways that I didn't really think of. Like you can put the shell on like very different setups. Like you can do no suppression setup, like glass cannon charge stacking. You could like squire setup. You can do like ES stacking. You can do EO like most other people do early game, and then transition to crit. There's so many different ways. It depends on what kind of content you want to do with it. But usually, like what is the oyster with this build, honestly, because it just kind of gets a lot of damage through just stacking mana, a lot of damage and defense, and then you can like tune the details about the end. There's many ways.
Yeah, I've been doing a different version than you, even where I've been using the new shield from this league's Fallen, which I've really like. It seems like super strong. That gives you like lucky block and stuff. And that's been like I've used that in a couple builds now. And I'm definitely a big fan of that. Just like being able to get to like 50 block pretty much, and then having that lucky block really push it over the edge for like mitigation.
Yeah, Swallowing is awesome. Like it is such an awesome item that I added. Like I love that item, and it looks amazing. Like
looks
the
great,
model
feels
itself.
great. Yeah. Very cool.
It's such a good stat.
It's insane because it's literally better than the gladiators, because the gladiator says lucky block if you've blocked recently, and this just says chance to block is lucky. So not to mention it works as a little trigger setup for like all your stuff that you don't want to feel like clicking. So for me, I have like Sigil of Power, Frost Shield, and Frost Bomb in it. So it's just
you
constantly.
Put anything in there, or is it just lightning?
It's socketed elemental, which is pretty open.
Oh, elemental.
So
yeah, that's
you could do like whatever. And also some different trans gems get different tags sometimes. So there are some that like gain tags and lose tags that you could do there are pretty cool. But yeah, very very open. Shield. I see it like on so many builds now. Also, like a lot of casters are just kind of tossing it on and then like picking up like a couple points in block, or like using the red nightmare, or the red nightmare from the Chiula to get like additional block on it. A lot of cool
I'm
little
not
things.
surprised at all with all the nerfs to determination and
Yeah.
grace. Like the casters kind of struggle early on before the end game scaling setups like Mage Blood, Sublime Vision and stuff. Like you struggle a lot. So I can see like this thing being super comfy for mapping, just getting block for kind of no investment, getting some ward as well. So
Yep.
yeah, I am not surprised at all. It's a great item.
There's
I think
yeah.
a lot of people are not appreciating it enough. How good it is.
Oh yeah, no, that's good. Also, like, I mean, dare I say, pretty accessible as far as like I probably see the Black Knight, I don't know, a couple times a day at least, and then I'm not sure what the drop rates are, the new uniques, but like whatever they are, like maybe 10%, 5%, whatever they might be.
I'd say yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like too rare. So pretty neat from that.
I was thinking too, like this unique actually was used like early on in a league, and like people didn't have to like wait until the next league to figure it out. Because like most of the time, whenever you see, they reveal the uniques in the trailers or whatever, and everyone just goes like 1C unique, right? Like
Yeah.
useless unique, and it's nice to have a unique that's relatively accessible, that is very powerful and kind of used to throughout a lot of builds.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's a neat shield.
I've seen the rage gloves used a little bit also, but I think that's also because they were bugged. But aside from
They're extremely powerful even without the bug,
I think they're just good. Yeah, they give you 3 gem levels, which is something not to be snubbed at, and then they give you a pretty much instant rage gen to full for like a lot of stuff, which is pretty cool.
Paramount Berserk is, even with the changes to Berserk, like I
Yeah.
think it's amazing. Very good gloves, especially that they are quite accessible. Let's say in trade league, like in SSF, maybe not so. Like you're not gonna get that many to like double corrupt or corrupt. But in trade league, you're gonna get like cool corruptions, like
Oh yeah,
Bates, Crit, Curses, Frenzies. Like those are great, great additions to those like unique gloves.
for sure.
Because yeah, the problem with those gloves, unfortunately, is like on gloves you have +2 strikes for lightning
Yeah.
strike, for example. So it's like if you're choosing the unique glove, they better be worth it to sacrifice that, or like rage gen or something like that. So
Yeah,
I mean,
That's
the 1 strike on the
super
3
strong.
is enough, isn't it?
depends. Depends if you're
It
I
definitely
guess.
little
feels
boy.
a lot more comfy with 2 or 3.
Or
even.
4 or 5.
Yeah, yeah. 17 strikes.
I guess the idea is if you hit a pack and everything dies, that's enough strikes, and then until you're at that part, then it's like more strikes the better. There's no there's no sweet spot for additional striking anymore with lightning strike, where like you step back and then it hits twice. That doesn't exist, or does it still exist?
It does, obviously. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
You just
that
need 1 extra strike to enable that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that the new anoint, the Sion's ambition is it makes the skill. I mean, it's probably, out of all the things, it's one of the bigger quality of lives. Like I think I was mentioned about the glove enchant, or sorry, the claw enchant that says enemies killed by your hits are destroyed, which is great for like DDs and just a bunch of like on death effects that kind of eliminates a lot of that. But another huge quality of life to the build was the Sion's ambition from the new prismatic oil that says strike skills which target additional enemies can do so from 40% further away.
Yeah, the
So
reach.
yeah, it just feels so comfy to map. And then yeah, you got a couple extra strikes, and you got return projectiles. Yeah, it almost, for me, because I was also fortunate enough to drop Nimbus off my first Uber Eater. It feels kind of like it's
Okay.
playing.
Oh, okay.
It feels kind of like it's playing EK from like the Delhi League a little bit. Like that first iteration of Armor Stacker from Delirium League. It kind of feels like it's playing like EK a little bit. Like you just kind of go into a pack, blow it up, and then it just brings everything back in. I don't know. It's so much fun. So much fun.
I'm kind of curious about that anoint that you mentioned, Geezy, because I had a conversation with someone yesterday. I was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna use that anoint." Like that was me. Like this anoint is it's kind of whatever. Like I don't think you need. Is it really that noticeable to have
It's
it? Like it,
if you're an unskilled gamer, or a sloppy gamer like myself, yeah, it's night and day. Especially for like bosses and stuff. It's night and day.
okay. Well, that means I need to farm more Legion.
Yeah, how did you get your prismatic whatever oils? Is there like a, I don't know, sort of like something special you have to do or whatever to get the anoints?
The prismatic oils only drop from Ravage Blight maps, right? So
Okay.
again, through playing, right? From your map runners, you get tons of Blight maps, right? Well, maybe not tons, but you get enough Blight maps to where you never really need to run Blight if you just want one prismatic oil. And then you also can drop the bloomings too, right? So you just put a blooming on an abomination tier 17. It typically goes 1 lane or 2 lanes, and then you'll probably get 1, 2, 3 Ravage Blight maps from there.
Yep.
I don't know the full data on it. I want to say I've ran maybe 3 or 4 Ravage Blight maps, and I've gotten 1 prismatic oil. So
I had to like 3 or 4 times as rare as golden.
Okay.
Oh,
when we were
really?
farming Ravage maps.
Okay.
So that seems
yeah.
pretty rare to me.
Yeah. So then maybe I got luckier on that then too. But yeah, I think I'm like 1 out of 3 or 4 maps right now.
And
I mean, if you are
yeah.
not,
Sorry, Shay.
if
Go
you're
ahead.
not
double
that Blight,
anointed Sorry.
Fight.
oh well.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll say that if you anoint the Blighter mobs like for actual loot, like how most trade leagues people do, which is like silver oils and like lucky chests, I don't think it's gonna be that bad because like most of the time, like that we interacted with the Blighted mobs to like get uniques is like teal oils and just blast through them, but now you can just anoint them for loot and it shouldn't be that bad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I still had that mindset.
You
I
can
just
split them too.
You can split them.
Mhm.
I didn't want to farm. My map runners can't farm beast, so I haven't had any splits.
That's
this week.
fair.
We should talk about beasts later on as well.
I
Like,
can talk about it right now. Goward,
okay,
do it.
I mean, like since we are on the beast topic, I think beasts got omega buffed. Like they are so good this league for so many things. So if you don't know like what happened to the bestiary was they added the harvest beasts to the main pool, right? So you just get stuff like matron for divine orbital and metacrafts, or you get vivid vultures. Morrigan is in the main pool as well.
Yep.
On top of that, right? So those are really big buffs, and a lot of those really like jackpot beasts that you want are sharing
The wilds.
the family that you the wilds, exactly.
It's all the wilds, man.
Yeah, it's mostly the wilds, unless you wanna, reroll some Symphon Blizzard. But other than that, like it's super insane, like how much value you gonna get from it. And there's also a couple beasts that that people sleep on, especially on like early SF progression. I feel like if we're talking about wilds, there is a beast that gives you unique map, and the unique maps
That's what I did.
in a struggle for a lot of people. A lot of people are just complaining, oh, I cannot find this unique map. I'm sitting on like Azeri Vault RNG, and I'm cannot get that.
That's me also. Pretty much everything you're describing is what I did, because my 6 link I got from Black Morgan, my starting uniques I got from Bestiary, my maps I got from Bestiary. I used the add suffix prefix crafts like pretty heavily to craft some gear. Especially with like the ward gear, like I get a ward piece that was like 1 or 2 things off really good, and I would use like add suffix, remove prefix, or vice versa, like knock off something shit, add something good. And the only complaint I have about Bestiary is just that there's just not enough yellow beasts. Like there's just too.
Oh yeah,
you end up getting
that's the problem.
Redonkulous rate. If there was a scarab that said all red beasts were replaced by 3 yellow beasts, it would be like S tier, because you end up with.
We used to have great migration.
Oh yeah. I mean, you get so many beasts. The amount of beasts you get isn't the problem as far like ones you really want to craft. It's just like you just end up with 5-to-1 red to yellow ratio, and you're like just not able to get as many. And then like you find yourself skipping beasts because eventually you just memorize them all, and you're like, oh look, that's a crab. Fuck the crabs. I'm just blow past it because you don't want to deal with that. So it's a funny thing, but yeah, Bestiary has definitely been very good. Harvest beast I haven't found too many of. I wonder if there's like maybe a higher rate in like 17s or something, because I've only found like 3 or 4. in 16s, and it was like hundreds of maps. So I'm not sure. They could just be like super rare, I guess. But
No, I think they're just very low weight. So
Yeah.
like they're probably even lower weight than like imprint beast or something like that. I didn't really look at the data
Yep.
when it comes to like people's probably data might not already.
One thing
But,
you didn't mention about the beast that I think has been the most fun quality of life, if anything, is the reusability of the beasts. There's a new function on Bestiary where beasts can spawn with this tag that say like they have a 10, 20, 30, or 40% chance to
Yeah.
not be consumed. And I had my Black Morgan have a 40% chance. I used it 5 times before it failed out.
What?
So it's like,
That's
you know, it's just super cracked for like certain things, especially for Black Morgan, because you could triple split items with it. So like the amount of value you get from a lot of these beasts, like even if you're just trying to like look for like a certain body armor and you hit that body beast and it just like keeps going, which is also why the yellow beasts are so exacerbated, because your red beasts are worth, you know, at least 1.5 times whatever their value is. So it's yeah, it's cool.
What I guess the Black Morgan, was it changed from a unique beast to a rare
yeah, that's
beast?
correct, exactly.
Yeah,
Okay,
it actually works
okay.
on him now.
Good, yeah, because I remember I didn't think that worked last league. I haven't done pieces.
They're all just can have it, and you'll just know because
That's
they have it says it on them, like if you get them. It's very cool.
Yeah, I
though,
didn't mention it because it was been added last league, but like now with how Bestiary buffs came in and like how relevant it is for
Yeah.
a lot of things and stuff, like it is definitely worth highlighting. So yeah, Bestiary Scarabs also insane. So great buffs.
Is there any point to use the initial Scarab for Bestiary? It doesn't do anything, right? Really? Like, or usually we just.
I mean, it gives you the spawn chance. So like,
Saves you
what you
points.
can
Yeah, I guess.
what you can do is like it saved like 6-7 points on the Atlas tree, which is honestly fine. Like if you're doing beast, then it's not a problem. Honestly, like it's probably better to use that than not use that. But,
Yeah.
like you can always 3-1 it if you don't want to.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Did you feel like there's any mechanics that pair particularly well with Bestiary on that side of the tree? Like something like a ritual or something?
Heist. You just want mechanics
Heist.
that don't, you know, take time. You just want to go through the maps, check for the beasts, or kill your yellows, get the good reds, and then click the things that speed you up. And
Bestiary doesn't scale. No part of Bestiary scales with like the maps craft, right? As far as
I mean, not really. No, it's like the beasts have decent amount of like rarity and quantity. Like the beasts drop a lot of stuff. Honestly, I would say like if you wanna run difficult maps and like kill some yellow beasts to get more loot, then yeah, go for it. Like I think they drop decent amount of stuff. Like I got fractured items, like some conversions, so those are nice. But if you're not into like juicing beasts for loot and just wanna get your crafts, then yeah, just pick mechanics that don't take time, which is Heist. I would recommend Shrines, Nico, Delhi maybe, but not really. But like Shrines, Heist, Nico are like the highlights for me at least.
You mentioned Heist, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that one of our boys here had a little bit of a gift given to him in the very beginning of the league from Heist. A certain not quite headhunter. You wanna what were you doing in Heist? why were you there? What were you there for?
So I don't know. I feel like I flip flop every league on like how I want to get my first 6-link, and I thought, hey, I will try to get it out of Heist. Maybe get like a nice well rolled 6-link or just a 6-link period, right? And then I don't know. Definitely spoon fed this league, but yeah, I found the replica headhunter within the first 24 hours, which it's not that great of a belt, especially early when you're not killing so much so fast, but like after you've kind of geared out a little bit, it does feel kind of nice, just to get that extra ramp up and pair it with shrines. It was
exactly. More blue packs.
Yep. So again, just a lucky drop, and I just kind of ran with it and just played the video game. I didn't do a ton of Heist. I mean, maybe five blueprints or something, and it showed up.
Are you still wearing it?
No.
What are you wearing now?
Oh, Mage Blood.
Oh. How'd you get your Mage Blood?
I just dropped it on the ground.
That's cool.
Imagine not dropping belts on the ground. Like,
I know.
Hey, can I deflect? I've only dropped one belt. Legi's dropped 2 belts. So
Wait, what? That's
Oh my
inside
God.
information.
Oh my god. A
He's
double
spoiling
belt
the
dropper.
inside information.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, even mine doesn't know. No one
Oh
knows.
my god.
Actually, well, I'm gonna spill the beans on unique strat because we've been having a lot of people like to pivot to unique farming from that. A lot of people have been complaining. Where are my uniques? Where's my ground loot? The ground loot is nerfed. Everything is dead. Game is dead. It's unplayable. And I dropped 2 headhunters, Calandra's Touch, and like all the T1 uniques in a day.
By doing what?
Yeah, by doing Legion.
Wow.
I've just killed some legions and dropped 2 headhunters, Calandra's Touch, Ralakesh, like 3 Taste of Hates, like 3 Void Batteries, like everything, like literally every unique that you can think of. I dropped in like a day of farming 8 mod map legions in like jungle valleys. So
I found Legion on League Start for like a day and a half. I don't think I got anything rare at all.
I mean, I
But
guess
it wasn't 8 mod. It was only like Chisel Arc, I guess. But...
Yeah, pretty much what I did for all those uniques. I guess you need to have a really powerful character to make that work, right? But I did 8 mod maps, Jungle Valley, just clicked all the quant altars and clicked Legion afterwards, and I just started dropping things. I dropped I think like 10 unique jewels.
Any specific scarabs that you're running for this? I'm assuming there's one of each reliquary.
So the setup, no, you don't do reliquary because reliquary scales unique monsters.
Oh, that's right.
And you want to scale rare monsters. So you scale legions, which is you do double legion scarab, the normal legion scarab, the officers, which adds 10 rare monsters. Then you can add something on it. Like there's 1 flex scarab, so you can add third legion or anything you want, and the nemesis scarab, which is your rare monsters have +2 mods, right?
Yeah.
So that adds a lot of juice, which makes the maps really hard. I'm not gonna say those maps are easy, and like doing them early on is pretty difficult. But yeah, like especially if you hit Bismuth on top of that, so you get free mods on your rare monsters additionally, right? So they just keep dropping a lot of stuff. So I was like insanely surprised how much loot the Legion dropped still. Like after all this complaining that the Legion loot is like the ground loot is dead. So I can't recommend it enough. I don't know if I just insanely high rolled, but I doubt that. Maybe on the T0s I high rolled, but like I found all that you want. Like I found Ralakesh Impatience as well. The Alas, like so many things.
Well, I'll try it all day tomorrow, and if I don't get all the things, you'll be getting an angry letter from my lawyers. How about that?
Well, I would say Headhunter, like first Headhunter that I dropped, also from Legion, helped quite a bit to speed the process up. But like,
I'm sure
it's good.
I'm quite surprised. I did pretty much exactly what you said, like Legion early league, and I used the Nemesis Scarab whenever I had it too, and juiced it up with like the Sergeant, and felt pretty mad to me. But
I think it's mostly about the 8 mod maps and like Ether Altars. Like it scales so much. I think you do have to run 8.
I have to revisit it with like a stronger setup so we can do more risk.
Yeah, early on it's not amazing, but like once your character is like good enough to handle that and like handle altars, it scales exponentially, which kind of how the game is.
Someone was asking how to get 8 mod maps. I mean, I just do 17th with the Carto Scarab on. That's how honestly I was getting 8 mod maps. But is there a specific? I mean, you're doing nothing. You're just chiseling it then valing them, right? Like what?
No, I'm doing 17s. They're just get like 60 per like proper 17, and it's like you get infinite amount of 17s. Literally fill the quad up in like 3 hours of doing 17s, right? So you get, and then you get it for yourself and you get it for your mappers. So that's amazing.
You and the boys. Yeah. Any other Atlas strategies you guys have been experienced this league that you thought were particularly good or like surprising or overperforming?
On the topic of unique farming, the most success I had was just juicing up rares and 17s. There's this new script where you get Pantheon touch rares, right? And there's a script to get ghosted rares. Did a bunch of that into 17s, combined with Nemesis. And got some tier 1s there, I think. And mostly a lot of Scarabs. That was the best part. Because a lot of people are complaining that Scarabs aren't really dropping much, but my maps, I had to TP out like 2 times to restore my Scarabs. It almost felt like last league for a tiny amount of time. So that was good.
Nice.
I think we just didn't cut up on all the strats yet. Like some Scarabs are still sleeper, and I think the highlighting of the Pantheon Scarab, I was really curious how it's gonna perform. And since you said it makes a difference, and it's very good.
The Pantheon Scarab wasn't all that great. It's really just
Really
the Nemesis that was the biggest thing, I think. Like big Scarab multiplier or big Rarity in the 17s, and then having the 2 extra mods on the rares, and then finding a lucky Bismuth on top. It's pretty much what he did with Legion, right? I did it with the 217 rare monsters. Did a pretty high base quant too. But then you can also make them, because you don't have to use the Legion Scarabs, you can then have them ghosted 25% of the time, and you can have some of them have Pantheon mods and so on.
Yeah, I just
Scarab slots available.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if there is like a strat that doesn't revolve at T17s, because what happened last league to me was pretty much the same thing that happened to me this league. Like I tried to get my Mage Blood through T17 farming, like unique farming. I got like a couple T0s doing that, but it didn't drop the belt. So I decided, screw it. Let's just load up T16 Legion, and it just dropped in like a couple hours. So I was like, oh, maybe this works this patch as well, and I did.
Yeah. He's a gamer.
We'll have the same results of Legion, I believe. I'll try it soon. Just need a good build first.
Do you feel the impact of back to basics being gone? Like, is that something that's super relevant?
Yeah, only the positives, because fuck back to basics.
Yep. At first, whenever they announced it was gone, it was kind of despair. But I mean, yeah, after playing this league for any amount of time, it's like kind of good riddance, right? Because now you can have like proper, beyond Delhi, stuff and in your maps, and I don't know. Some places lose lacking, but I mean, again, there's ways that you can, put stuff in, again, like either like your Legion Nemesis stuff, or some of those new Titanic Scarabs and big maps and stuff too. And again, you're dropping more loot even. So I don't know. It's feeling pretty good.
Have any of you guys, so now that quantity's gone from gear, have any of you guys been wearing any amount of rarity on gear? So I've just been rocking a gold flask, to be honest. That's pretty much
Rarity
it.
is busted.
Yeah. What have you had? What have you been using? Like the Betrayal Helmet Craft or Gold Flask or?
We're using Rarity support every now and then.
Really? Okay.
Like when you do easy enough content where the 5 link is enough.
Nice.
Yep.
So why Rarity is strong, like if you don't realize, is because it kind of scales gold. Like if you've been living under the rock, how gold works in this league is it kind of converts some of the items to gold, right? So if you drop more rare items, you're gonna get more conversions to gold. So technically, Rarity equals more gold multiplier. So and not on top of that is more unique multiplier, right? So it's just always worth to have some rarity on your gear. So I've been using, like for my unique farm, I couldn't really squeeze more than a Betrayal Craft, a rarity suffix on a flask, because I just needed power. But if you can, run easy enough content, or your character is strong enough, you just want to, put rarity in as many places as possible without like jeopardizing your character and like clear speed, and just very good. Like T17, 16s, any strat, rarity is just super good.
Nice.
I mean, to like put that also in perspective, like what some other streamers did some tests early league, how impactful it is. So like minus, like if you had negative rarity, like less quantity, like a random unique sim mod drop like 2k gold, and with rarity and like no like less quantity multipliers, drop like 30k gold or something like that. So it's huge difference over time, like millions of gold if you have like a 1 or 2 suffixes on your gear.
Well, it's not true for rarity on the map. right? Like having high,
Yeah.
well-rolled maps, and the 15 rarity you can pick up on the Atlas tree in the middle is kind of huge too. I think this league. I kind of want to have it on every single Atlas. At least while gold is still relevant. Like sooner or later, I think the gold is going to become a secondary thought, but early on, it's amazing.
Agreed. You were mentioning about re-rolling at some point, or in the near future, I guess, Manny. What do you guys have planned for other builds this league? Like second builds, third builds, or some products you want to work towards?
Well, I'm going to wait till I have enough runes to actually enchant something. And then
what
when
enchant
that
do you
happens...
want?
Well, I'm not even sure which one yet, because I have to think really hard about it, because we'll only have one probably for like a month.
Yeah.
So I would love to get the haunted ones, because just going faster seems fun, but then you kind of want 2 of them. But there's also, you can make a 2-handed swords have double the elemental damage. Like, how is that okay?
Yeah.
That's just straight up double damage. There's return projectiles, right? There is like 150% versus extra or something on maces. There's some absurd stuff. There's also the, as I mentioned before, the infinite lightning Val skills. I mean, on a dagger, that'd be really fun to play as well, but I'm not sure if you can ever really pull it off.
Expensive. What about you, Easy? Any builds you want to play, or you're just sticking with Lightning Strike the rest of the league?
Probably just stick with Lightning Strike. You know, because again, builds for me are more just a tool to kind of farm the uniques, and so, you know, if I roll a new build, blah blah blah, you know, that's time away from like farming higher ores. I mean, it takes me a long time to kind of level new character and think and process and POB it or whatever, right? So probably stick to the Lightning Strike. If I do anything crazy, I don't know how. I do also want to try the Ghost Wand enchant. I don't know how that could maybe work with like Stormbrand, but that's what, like a Storm or a Penance brand, if that would work. But if it does, that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to make some big Stormbrand Penance brand wands with that. Maybe I don't like I said, I don't know if that really works.
The cast speed is insane. You can make a profane one, get tier 1 cast speed on it, and the ghost enchant, and you have like 100 cast speed wand or something.
Yeah. So then, that would be like kind of an end goal, but yeah, that would be the only other build I would potentially roll.
To clarify, the ghost mod is 30% damage, attack, or attack, cast, movement. Is that what it is?
I think it's 35 even. And then on top of that, you get like a random ghost modifier, which could make it even faster, right? There's a ghost that boosts
like a rogue
speed
or whatever. Yeah.
There's one that makes you crit. There's physical is extra elemental. There's all kinds of ghosts. It's like a random head on the buff, similar to that. It's very good.
Yeah. So I don't know why I want it. I just know I want it. Yeah.
Have you guys found any mirror shards from the ships?
No, I've seen some people in Discord get them, but I haven't found any myself.
They seem somewhat consistent, actually, in like the high shipments. You might even get multiple in the long run.
I haven't sent enough like very high shipments to get conversions. I only got the conversion until Sacred Orb. So I think I just didn't send enough big stuff.
I mean, you can get it on a very small one. I got my mirror shot on like a... I think I did 2k of each crop or something. Just some small spam shipment, basically. What? That's where I got the mirror shot from.
Yeah, I've been just coping for the rune buffs still. Like I'm kind of hoarding my resources a bit and coping, but they are not coming. They are not coming.
Big sad.
I don't think so now.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, I guess, in the sense that there hasn't been much. Obviously, not much outrage. People are very happy with, I think, overall with the league, and especially the currency market. So the incentive to kind of put a patch out, I feel like, has been lower than ever, for them. Which I guess is maybe worse for people like us, because I think the vast majority of players haven't, or maybe won't even ever catch up to the place that we're at for this to be a concern, especially in a outside, because if you're in trade, you can just buy it. So I don't know if they'll ever.
You say just buy, but
they're expensive.
Like,
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 40 vines per rune or some crazy number.
It's a lot. Yeah. It ain't cheap. No.
I mean, there's a lot of power with them, definitely. So I think, honestly, they are finely balanced for trading. I think, like, as much as it sucks for SSF, like I hate it. I hate it so much how RNG it is as well. But yeah, we have to suck
I
it
just
up for
wish
once.
that they would add the patch that just says you could trade up to them, and then I wouldn't complain as much probably.
Yeah,
but-
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't get it why that's not the case. It's just stupid in my opinion. Like,
You guys think it would matter? Because you need the time runes as well, right? The
It'd
ones that
make
would
a
upgrade
dent,
into it.
But you know, it's just the fact that there's no path for progression, as far as like, it's just straight RNG. Unless we're missing something, it would just be nice. I mean, it's like a gesture of attempt to help. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, how many power runes do you guys have? I have 6 now.
I just found my 5th one on like while we were podcasting from a boss.
Yeah.
But we have to use 1 on the enchant table, so I think I have 5 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm at 4.
No, I'm at 6.
Yeah.
At the moment.
So that means, like, I said something, I think it was last week when I was mentioning, when we were talking about the power and things, where it was like, the fact that at that point we couldn't even do one of those one crafts was like kind of crazy to me. Like that was, if we pooled all of our resources, we couldn't do one craft. And I was like, man, that's not a lot of runes. So they're definitely on the rare side. But there's like a lot of good crafts. So I've been using the lightning bolt when you crit craft on my wand, because since I'm playing Archmage, I have my Archmage Wintry Blast set up in the wand, which affects the lightning bolt. So the little lightning bolt hits
it has
decently.
Archmage linked to it too.
Yeah, it hits decently hard. I think I don't know what the fuck the exact number is. It's hitting like probably like a 150k per bolt or something. Like a non-negligible amount for. It has a cooldown, but like it's hitting a decent chunk. So there's some cool crafts like that. Like it just seems like every enchant that doesn't require power runes kind of feels pretty cheap, I guess, by proxy. Yeah. Have you guys enchanted your weapons with anything aside from probably just more of the stat you want? Or has that been like, you know, more cast speed, more physical?
Spell damage and physical damage for my 2 enchants on my 2 builds. It was pretty boring.
Yeah.
I've actually,
Yeah,
the only fun, I'm leveling right now, and there's an enchant that grants the wolves on kill, and there's an enchant that grants envy aura. And those wolves, they literally 2-shot my veil with the envy aura damage. Like that's pretty fun.
I was literally about to mention that, how bait that setup is, in my opinion. Because
the
like
wolves?
it's gonna scale to Act 3 and then you're gonna be like, this is garbage. Get
I'm
me
in
out
Act 3
of
right
this
now,
shit.
and it is pretty garbage, but
it's gonna be even worse after like
it's
Act 3.
free,
Like,
right?
Act
It's like a couple of runes, whatever.
I mean, yeah, like it just I heard this, you know, the OP strat of, oh, you just enchant it and just cruise through entire story, like you don't have to anything.
What's the wolf one say specifically? Because it's not the same as because the ring one scaled.
Same as the ring, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
No, the ring scaled to level 55. That's like that. They have their own.
And the wolves are okay. It's the aura that is OP, the envy aura specifically. It gives you 100 to 140 flat chaos to attacks, and you can have that at level 1. Right, so you have like infinite damage in Act 1 and Act 2, but it kind of falls off hard.
Yeah,
and
like,
Wolf Enchant, I'm pretty sure it's the same as the ring, but you can 4-link it or 3-link it, right? Because you can put support gems into the one.
Okay.
So it's slightly better than the ring, probably.
Yeah, I think it's like okay for like first 2 acts if you wanna like add something to your build, and it's like you know. But if you have twink items, like it doesn't matter. Like I think it's more hassle than it actually adds, in my opinion. I mean, even then we are auras like okay, but just don't
Not
fall
everyone
for
has
this.
a head on this level with Legi. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Some of us from the slums here, you know.
Headhunter is not even good. What do you mean?
Okay.
I would level with Prism Weave every time of Headhunter.
Prism Weave's a lot of damage. I've seen people using the on the 2-hand mace, I think it's called like Postulant Void or something, which is like a baby what's it called? Oh god. What is the DD skill that makes little balls? What's the ball DD skill called?
Volatile Dead?
Yeah, Volatile Dead. It's level 1 like Chaos Volatile Dead on kill or something. The 2-hand mace craft. You seen this or no? It gives you a level 1 of these on kill. And it apparently adds a bunch of clear. They just like create Volatile Deads that run around. But they're like stinky void ones.
I haven't seen it.
Look into
Clueless.
Google it. Look. It seems there's definitely some like ones that people I feel like haven't looked at yet. They're like, you know, semi-explored. Could be some cool cool stuff. Who
I guess
knows?
for leveling, or as in like actual end game.
This is end game people. I mean, that's what I've seen at least.
What's the wording on it? Do you remember?
Has
I'm trying to look it up.
level 1 in the title. I know that. It's like level 1 something.
Stalking pustules?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, that's really cheap. Yeah, that sounds cool.
That does a cool thing apparently. But if you're using any sort of Ellie Slam build, then obviously you mentioned the, one that gives you like 150% fizz as elemental. It's like you're never beating that, but it does seem like the gap between the rune enchants are kind of massive for some of them. Like I wish that they were a little bit more relevant in the early and mid game, because really in the early and mid game when you first interact with them, you don't have runes to use them. So it kind of feels like more of like a second build type thing.
Definitely.
Like
it's more like an aspirational thing to strive for, right?
Like leveling as a fizz build,
they're gonna have 20% damage on the weapon, and that's it. And then the fun stuff you unlock later. Something to look forward to.
Like the weird part to me about the rune table was that they didn't unlock in a tier to tier sense, but a type to type sense. Like like the first 4 levels was like cold, fire, and something else. And like I didn't even see the physical table until like I think it's like level 4 or something. And I was like, well, I can't even do the lowest tier physical enchant until my rune table's like level 4. Like I assumed it would have been like the lowest level of one of each type, and then the second whatever as you went up. But it was like by type, which I thought was kind of strange.
Yeah, I think the scaling is like kind of weird, because like even if you want to enchant like this, maybe not the haunted wand tier enchant with like millions of power runes, but like something that's good, like I don't know, Culling Strike or something like that. It's still really expensive, and like it kind of it's hard to like justify spending runes for instead of hoarding currency, for like the big one. Yeah. Like, SSF was obviously runes and then currency. Like even currency is probably gonna be like 2 divines and then runes.
Yeah, 2 divines for an impact like that when you could have a much larger impact for that same cost is a bit strange. Yeah. But there are some that are obviously much higher impact, but you're definitely paying for it. It feels like a lot of them are just like super min-max, kind of like end of one of the final things you do on your build.
Yeah, they probably overshot it a little bit. Balance-wise, they're a bit too hard, but what can you do?
What can you do?
We'll get them eventually. It's a reason to play the league, I guess, for a long time.
Yeah, so we talk about playing the league for a long time, and there's this league has, not counting the patch uniques like the tinctures and then the uniques from Ritual, the new rings, which are I think all fairly easy to get. There is 7 uniques in this league mechanic. You have 1 from each boss. There's the 3 bosses: the Admiral, the Bandit, and then the Black Knight. Each of them have their own uniques. We talked a little bit about Fallen and the gloves. There's also the sword from the Bandit King, the Living Blade, which lets you use like more tinctures and stuff and do tincture things. I haven't really seen it used at all, but I'd love to check that out. There is also uniques from the shipping, which we didn't mention yet, but some of them are like pretty cool. And you get those where we were positing they come much more likely from completing a quota order, which does get.
I think that's the only way to get them. Like I'm 99% sure.
If that's the only, So if that's the only way, then if you get them in the very beginning, it's much better. Well, the quotas are much easier, more frequent. And I think it's a bit strange.
Filling quotas
reset them,
like I just restarted a week ago. And focused a lot more on the mechanic during the campaign and early mapping than I did on initial league start. And I could fill those quotas like 10, 20 times a day. Like every hour I would fill a quota because they only ask for like 100 bars. And that's how I got 3 or 4 uniques.
Yeah.
So it actually looks like right now you might, like if you can't find them in the end game, you might actually have to do a fresh start in a private league or in hardcore SSF to farm them in like Quarry or something.
Wild. Yeah. That's a...
Yeah, I have 0 of those uniques, even though I been filling all the quota. Nothing. Yeah, I've been trying to like send some auto shipments because I didn't know if the quota was real, and just trying to send like, oh, this gives unique belt, so it's gonna give me a unique belt from here. I was like, Nah, I just
So,
don't have anything.
If
so
that's the
it
case,
kinda
then
seems wild.
people like Legi and I who didn't get any during our initial all the easy quotas kind of get fucked, and because if we're at the max quota now, which could be upwards of a combined total of like a third or a quarter of a million resources easily to like fill a quota.
How often do you guys interact with the quotas? Do you care about them at all?
Well, I'm trying to fill them as literally fast as possible because of the uniques. That's like my main focus.
Yeah, exclusively fill 4 quotas now.
But that could take an entire day, if not more, to fill a quota.
Yeah, it takes like
on
1 or 2 quotas a day, right?
Maybe,
like,
yeah.
If it's a crop quota, I can maybe do 2, but if there's like a lot of ore involved, then
I had it last time that all my quotas requested the same 2 things. So I was even then like 3 days to fill them because they all wanted crimson bars, they all wanted wheat. And if it's a crop thing, that's easy because they're running 24/7. But like, if you put a gun to my head and say get as many crimson bars as you can, it's like, well, I could just play the game faster. That's nothing else I could do to like expedite that per se.
Yeah, you have to like incorporate some like very map rushy strategy to like get to the bars and just do the bars, and that's about it. And it's just degenerate, honestly. Like you don't really play the game; you just farm bars like a robot, which is kind of annoying. And like the quotas for the bars are like insane, like absolutely nutty.
Yeah,
like
they're like in the
200K.
Now, granted, if you do fill them, it is a 5-to-1 ratio, so it's not as bad, but it's still a ton. So like if it requests 250 crimson bars, then it's bars, but if it says ores, it's 5-to-1, right? Which is,
I mean, it's still 50K bars. It's like so much.
I know it's a lot. It's a lot. It's definitely a lot.
It's 1 quota. It's just crazy, and that the uniques come from only that.
This is kind of where with this part of the league, I think like for people like us, this is all fine and like well. But I think a lot of people I've talked to who like obviously have tons of good to say about the trade system. A lot of them are saying the league mechanic, they feel like really, really out of place because the numbers are so much and the maintenance is so much. Like if you don't get to play that often, I can totally get how the concept of having a set of 10 mappers, let alone 3 sets of 10 mappers, is like totally inaccessible because the amount of gold you need to, like a lot of people have been having this kind of weird sense of FOMO, like I got to go to work for 8 hours. I have to now farm out 8 hours of gold or somehow I'm like losing out, which I get the sentiment, but it's kind of like a bummer that that's how some people are feeling because they don't want to be like missing in whatever. Like I definitely when I go to bed, I make sure I farm enough gold that when I'm sleeping things are happening. Otherwise I would feel bad probably. I'm curious how you guys feel, if you feel similarly, or do you make sure your town is always stocked and if etc.
Yeah,
for me,
it was a big deal early on, right?
Yeah.
Now it's a lot better. With like once we're in endgame into 60 maps to 17s, I feel like it's not hard to sustain the gold for like logging off for like a night, but the first couple of days I literally had to map for an extra hour at the end of the day just to get gold for the night.
Yeah.
And I mean, pretty degenerate. Like, you don't need to do that, right? It's just we're degenerate addicts. We're going for it. The farm is to farm overnight.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's like for people that play a lot and like even stream the game, it's not a problem because you just have time to do so. But like yeah, I can definitely empathize with people that feel like, oh, this is designed not for me, and it's like it's pretty annoying. It's actually pretty detrimental, and that's why I really don't want this mobile game mechanics in my PoE long term. Is like it because people gonna wake up really fast that every time we're gonna get that mechanic, it's the same problems will occur. That's why mobile games have this stigma. I mean, maybe not in stigma. That's because why mobile games are the way they are.
Yeah,
it's like inducing FOMO and stuff like that. So I really would like devs to say, okay, no, we don't want that. We don't want that in our games.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Like I'm sure they could integrate the league mechanic without those time-gated mechanics to not introduce what Legi just explained. Because sending out, like farming the ores and farming the crops passively, like maybe they could just be automatic or whatever without requiring gold. And then sending out the ships, it is kind of a cool and fun mechanic. Like I love waking up and like checking my ships or like seeing the alert, and then I go to pick up my divines. Like
I think you mean waking up and seeing your mapper's dead, right? Isn't that what you mean?
They never die overnight somehow.
Yeah, oh
they
my
always die
God.
when I'm live.
I got the bad seed. I got the bad loot seed or something. No, would you think that the problem would be effectively solved if this mechanic didn't operate when you weren't online? That way, you wouldn't have a fear of, or the
Then
feeling
you just
of
leave
whatever.
the game running.
So well, that's the thing, I guess, is you wouldn't necessarily be losing resources though, or your town wouldn't be operational if you chose not to leave the game running. That way, it's at least an optional interaction versus just the base interaction. Like if you didn't leave your game on, your town wouldn't be churning, meaning you wouldn't be losing golds hypothetically. So do you think that might fix people's perception of it?
I think it'd make it worse.
You
Probably.
think so? You think they feel obligated then to leave the game running?
Yeah, because then
I
you
think
get
so.
a lightning strike, or your power gets cut, or your Wi-Fi gets cut. It's like, oh no.
I mean, people I know are
got no
legit
power,
like
and I
remoting
can't be
in from
farming
their
my-
work computers to like manage their towns because they're like, I have a life, I have a 9 to 5, and like I'm literally using LogMeIn on my computer to like manage my town. That's been like multiple people I've talked to who like have full-time jobs been doing that. So I'm not sure how much more degenerate it could get, to be honest.
Yeah, that's why I think like this kind of like maintaining things is so dangerous, and like people just can't help themselves. Like let's be real, people just cannot help themselves, especially people that play a lot of PoE or just play PoE. It's like a lot of people have inclines to addictive behaviors, and this doesn't help it. So I think it's a bit too much to put something like that in Path of Exile, in my opinion, long term. So I really can't stress enough. That's why I'm like mentioning this all the time, because I really, 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 really don't want this to become a norm in this game. I really don't want to.
Yeah.
So
I think it could be partially fixed if the balance was different, because right now it favors sending out these small shipments and logging in every now and then, right? And you can only queue up like 2 hours of maps, right? So the ideal gameplay right now is to literally wake up every 2 hours and fill up your map devices and load up the boats again and so on, right? But if there was more incentive on actually sending out the big boats, and doing the small ones is just bad anyway, and the real rewards are saving up for days, then you wouldn't have any of that, right?
Yeah.
yeah, I guess so. That is true, definitely. If we don't have the small shipments and like this logging and maintaining thing.
Well, you mentioned that's one of my disappointments to the league is that there's not an option to send out longer boats. Like I want to send out, like a week-long shipment. Like the fact that 4 hours is as long as it gets is, I guess, a little bit of a
Send out
bummer.
a 1 week shipment, wait for a week, and then you get pirates, your game crashes, and you lose it all. That's what's gonna happen.
Listen, man, as long as my mappers don't die, they could take the boats. It's fine.
I mean, that's what we kind of mentioned in the last podcast, right? When we seen the league, like that we only have like 5 ports, and that the longest one is 4 hours, and it's like that is.
I'm still on team.
Not
They're
exactly
gonna add
what
stuff.
it should be.
I think it's going to be a 6-month league, and they're going to basically double the league's content at some point. I'm hope. That's
Could imagine if they added more content. They could add like 5 more professions. They could add a fisherman and.
Well, there is legally a fisherman.
Yeah, I mean they could
If
actually
y'all-
make that a thing.
I haven't seen them, but
You could improve on the farming so much too, right?
They could improve on all of it. They could add
Maybe
like
we build like a factory and we
there's
can
so much-
process the food.
there's so
and then
many
we,
like,
have
for like random event spaces. Is there so much because currently, like when you send out a ship, right? There's only negative outcomes that could befell your. Either they die. They say they start a new life, which is I guess is a positive outcome for the sailor, but a negative outcome for us. Or they get captured by a pirate, which is supposed to be a negative outcome, but really it's a positive outcome because it's 50k free gold. But I'm surprised there's no positive occurrences. There's no like random events. Like I think there was a kind of a missed opportunity to have like a cool like maybe you find like a treasure chest or something. Like if you're out to sea, you'd think there'd be more positive random.
Yeah, but then they would put like a league specific unique that you can only get from the treasure chest, and we would hate it.
How is it any different than already filling quota specific unique though? To me, it seems like an extension of an already existing problem.
I agree with Lighty.
Yeah.
I think it's a missed opportunity. It's very basic, and I don't think they're gonna add anything. I think this is what we're gonna get. Like maybe like one balance patch, and it's gonna leave it. Honestly, like that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, it would be cool if they actually did something more, like maybe rebalance the quotas a bit or something like that. Like I think this league is worth actually coming back to it and like actually doing some work to like rebalance stuff because
Yeah.
people enjoying it, like enjoying and playing and just change some things and
Yeah.
you can have more fun.
Nice. Is there any other? So we mentioned the uniques, but like a little bit about ritual, I guess. Ritual got updated somewhat to where the King of the Mist is back. He's an actual wet noodle to fight because previously we fought him with one portal and like maybe a little bit more strenuous circumstances. He's like super easy now, and you have 6 portals, and I fought him like 20 times now, trying to find my missing staff. But they removed that which was taken, added the art to Piranha's Pact, and slapped it on him. Have you guys been using any of the new ritual jewels to either with like an unnatural instinct setup or just like having them in? Because I'm currently using the Chaos Res one, and it gives me like 70 Chaos Res. That feels real good for 2 points. So I'm
I
curious.
really want that one.
I've gotten 3 of them now. Yeah.
Nice.
Trying to get the mana one.
Yeah, I've been using the evasion one. Like I got the mana one yesterday,
Nice.
and it's worse than I expected it to be. I think it's like kind of bait the mana one for like even Archmage. I think, but if you don't have any, like mana one is super good.
Yeah,
but it's kind of bait in my opinion. But yeah, I love how the ritual feels right now. Like you can spot the nameless ritual really nicely, so you don't have to like do all the rituals to at the king. So you can just possibly spec ritual and just I see a nameless ritual, I'm gonna do it.
As we've been podcasting, I've found 2 nameless rituals, and I'm not spec'd into ritual, so I've just found them as I'm running through maps. So which just means you get 1 or 2 King of the Mists, which is nice.
Yeah, pretty much you get 1 King of the Mist per window, right? So if you use Scarabs, you can get like multiple of them. So that's amazing. But like that's such a nice touch, in my opinion, that you can just spot the ritual that has the guaranteed king. That's super non-PoE for me, honestly. Because like in most cases, like, oh, you have to grind this thing to maybe get the thing, but now it's like, oh, I found it, so I can do it. So
it's
honestly,
real nice.
breath of fresh air. So I'm excited
I learned you
to
can find the king randomly too, because I found him and didn't see it and ignored it, and then I got clipped and it was sad. I lost one.
Yeah.
Lamau.
You can just spawn in any ritual.
Yeah, it's really, really rare though. I've not found a single king outside of a nameless, and from hundreds of maps. So it's definitely rare to find like the straggler one. But getting the guaranteed per page means if you find it when you have a ritual tree, you're getting at least 4 King of the Mists, which is
my favorite thing about the ritual changes is that the omens drop from the monsters before you do ritual. So you can it has a new purpose of like a mechanic you just use to add kind of like shrines, just add some extra monsters, and that way you can farm some omens.
Yeah.
And I don't have to actually interact with the slow rituals and the windows and the window shopping and all of that. Just kill them while moving on, and it's extra loot anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of what we used ritual before, and now it's just added bonus as well. You get the omens, which are really cool and powerful in some circumstances.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, you can get like randomly 1.5k fusings, right?
Yeah, I've gotten I think I've got 6 or 7 of those. They're like
6 or 7.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
Ritual main.
I think it was
the jewelers or the fusing?
The fusing one. I think from like 500 glaciers, I got 6 or 7.
Damn.
That was a lot. I mean, 2 of them were drops also. So like 2 of them were drops, and then the other 5 were from the window. And then about maybe twice that in the white or the socket ones, and then a couple of the white sockets. My solid shield is 3 white socket from the blanching. It's not that I need it, but it's just for extra swag, I guess. But I haven't found one of the trash or treasure ones. Those are seemingly very, very rare.
Yep.
I say trash or treasure. They're just Ralakesh boots.
Omen of Fortune.
Yeah, Omen of Ralakesh
Well,
boots.
you can make weapons too, right? Down to 0 weapons. Rakiatas.
I could make a Rakiatas, but to be fair, why would you want to make either of those when you can't enchant? The problem is for those is like if I can't runesmith them and like 2 hands have absurd rune things like double damage or triple damage or returning proj, it's kind of like, well, what the fuck is the point of using these big unique weapons?
It's the same for these like Uber drop weapons, right? They drop like 1 in 200 Ubers, and they're supposed to be that giga item, but then you realize
some of them like are
like
strong enough to like
chaos
to be pretty like Void Forge is still really strong, I guess, on the top end, but there's no shot you're using like most of those. I mean, the Maven one, it's such a shame also because the Maven one just got buffed twice, right? Effectively, because it gained crit rate, attack speed.
Yeah, it's
all
actually
stuff.
good.
But it's
then
like,
not
but now they
because of
add,
runes,
but it's
good.
not it's definitely not good enough to like not have the ghost thing on. Like whatever gap of power it gained, it immediately lost by not being enchantable.
Well, next league it's going to be good, surely then.
Surely, but if it's still a 0.5 up over Maven, I kind of don't give a shit. I don't know. Like I would never just to sit down and farm that to me.
Yeah, you would never target. It's more like
No.
something that happens, right? And then you can build around it.
Yeah,
Good
way
news,
you
there's
actually
a there's a Valdo box for Grace of the Goddess, so just be lucky.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, I've seen one in my guild chat. Like someone linked it. It's a pink one.
Ooh.
Nice.
The Valdo's boxes are way more common now, and I mean, it's still mostly shit. Like I haven't found a Valdo's box that was worth doing, I would say. But I enjoy seeing them. I'd rather them honestly be less good and me actually get to see them than, not good.
What is the best Valdo box you guys found?
Relic of the Pact, I think. Ever.
2 Forbidden Jewels, I think.
That would be better than anything I found, yeah.
This league I got Calandra's Touch,
Okay.
Spore Garb for Genesis.
Okay. Well.
Oops. Sorry.
Yeah, I found the doable ones I found are Ember's Mastery, Sublime Vision. I think I have like some other ones as well, but like I found a couple good ones actually.
I found the Night Grip one 6 times. So if you want 6 Night Grips, I got your back.
The same one 6 times.
Mm-hmm. It was actually 6 out of my first 7 Valdos boxes too, and that
There's
one's
no way.
Yep, and that one also. I think it's quite common. I assume it is unless I just got some freak luck.
I didn't find one.
All right, well, fuck me, I guess. It's like
I
has like
guess.
the Ghosted Feared or something. It's like one portal and you can't see, so it's like, all right, cool. I want to strangle whoever makes these Valdos maps sometimes because it's like some of them just. I feel like the box for adding 4 ghosts is just automatically checked on, and they just refuse to check it off because every time I see a Valdos map, it's like you can't move, you can't see, and there's 4 ghosts and everything. All right, this is a lot of fun creative space you were doing. I found one that was enjoyable, to be honest. That was like a Dunes that had Cirrus Storms flying around and like something else, and it was like just kind of unique. But I feel like all the Valdos, like the vast majority I interact with, are just like all the same thing, which is like everything's quad ghosted and I can't see and move, and there's like one portal or something. That's been my Valdos experience.
Yeah, they used to be kind of cool for a while because it was the only way to get 84 of certain items, like ritual, but that's kind of gone now.
I mean, also, I don't know about other people, but the second I get a Valdos, like before I do Valdos maps, like I'll save up like 5 or 10, and then maybe I'll look at them and like want to run a couple in a row. I just always type the word void in, and if it pops up, I'm just destroying the map. Like, I don't know what the incentive is to do a void map. I get it, like if there's like a mage split or headhunter, but I think I'm just still never gonna do that. Like, I just wouldn't want to ever lose a character to like the game crashing or me losing power. So for me, the void maps are instantly gone.
I got a really cool void map. I'm gonna link it to you. It's from Crest of Desire.
That's
so it was like kind of funny that that you can get Crest of Desire still, and like you could 4-link it last time when you could get.
I know, yeah, the OP crest.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a void map.
Yeah.
Let me actually find it.
Well, speaking of, I guess, void maps in the same vein, is there any other? We talked about builds you wanted to play, potentially like projects to work towards. Obviously, we're all be looking for new uniques and that sort of stuff. But are there any sort of things you want to interact with this league that you haven't gotten a chance to? Like we talked about ritual, and maybe you want to do that, or any sort of Atlas setups or things like that you're looking forward to doing?
So many things.
Well,
I'm a bit behind because I restarted a week in, so I'm just now done setting up my first character really. But I definitely want to do a lot of Blight and try to fish for some double anointed amulets there and see if there's anything crazy in there. And then, of course, a lot of ritual to get the new uniques.
You want to talk about Blight for a minute? Because you mentioned the double anoints. Like, talk about how that happens.
Well, they buffed Blight Ravage maps to be added multiple new rewards, right? And one of the things is that you can find double anointed amulets with 2 random anoints. But if you get lucky enough, they might be a good combo. And normally you can only have 1 anoint, right? So this could be an insane crafting base that has like 2 good mods on it. Potentially pretty insane to build around. And then there's prismatic oils that also drop in Ravage maps now. So Ravage maps are very, very rewarding, and kind of want to farm that for a bit, see what happens.
How do you what's your strategy for farming ravage maps? Not acquiring them, because that's kind of more straightforward, but like actually running them. Do you still do like the freeze tower, stun tower,
Yeah,
meteors?
I think
or...
so. Ideally, have a character that has enough DPS to just treat them like normal blighted maps.
Yeah.
But if I don't have that yet, I'll just put the 2 annoyance on, and then the monsters are gonna be perma frozen. So there's like the
chill, yeah.
Yeah, the chill tower makes them freezes every 0.2 seconds or something, and then of course you have the stun tower, the default one, buff them with the green tower, and enemies are gonna be perma stalled. You just have to make sure you don't roll a stun avoidance, or action speed cannot be slowed on the map, because that would break it.
Yeah. Very nice. Easy. Anything you wanted to do specifically that you haven't, or is it just acquire uniques and then go back to doing life?
Go back to my hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's pretty much it. But again, it you know, again, it is kind of like a fresh take on the game though too, because I want to say, I guess the last time I was on the podcast, you know, just finally finishing the collection, not feel like you're having to like specifically grind those like last few, you know, and then be so
Yeah.
pigeonholed into that content is kind of nice. So like, I feel like this league is also being again one of the funnest league mechanics. Also kind of having free reign to do whatever I want, to not, aside from the shipping uniques, you know, to, if I want to go do Blight and, you know, fish for a big double amulet, I could do that, you know, or double anointed amulet, or whatever the case might be. But nothing specifically that I haven't like already done or am kind of currently doing. I mean, I guess right now is just make the most efficient, you know, ore farmer. So, you know, that, you know, again, you know, people say, you know, hey, I want to have, you know, one day of gold or something on my reserve. You know, I want to have, you know, 1 day of 2 days of ores. Like I want to be waiting on farming, not ores. You know,
Yeah.
that's where I want to get to the point of my farm. So yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, I really
that's-
wonder how much ore we could farm by actually focusing on it. Because I feel like I got a lot of ore when I initially progressed the Atlas and focused on gold farming to, you know, build up my town. But then doing like bosses and tier 17s and other juicing strats, the ore income became really slow, right? I don't guess if you guys had the same experience, but I'm like always out of ore now.
I'm like I have like 40,000 of everything at the moment almost. So I don't know. I just did like a ton of 17s and been blasting maps for the past 3 days straight. So I do feel like the second I don't stay at this pace, I'm gonna start to be, you know, losing ore, and it's gonna become maybe a bit of a lull. But that's kind of like, you know, that's an unrealistic expectation. We can't be doing 17s all day every day, and then we're gonna have to breathe or sleep. So it's like there's gonna be a lull, and then time to process. But like I went to bed, woke up, and all my ore wasn't done being smelted. Like I had that amount.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I have like 200,000 amber bars right now or something. But
Damn.
Damn.
you know, that's two
That's
quotas.
a lot of
that's not, it sounds like
Amber.
a lot.
Amber is the one that gives. That's your belt right there. Send it to. I think it's Nakano. You're gonna get at least 7 headhunters. I promise.
Every time I send those things where it's like the Verisium to Te Onai, that's the generic uniques. If I do the specific unique ones, I don't see any. I hardly see any.
It's not unique, so it just gives you bells, and they have a chance to be unique. It's pretty much like Gwenening 100 bells, for example.
Yeah. Well,
They're mostly rare.
I actually did Expedition a little bit in the beginning of the league. I did 1,000 Gwens, and I got 1 Worm Smolt. That's the only unique I got.
Pretty similar here.
It's just like I am, and then like Rog was great. Rog still feels great if you're trying to craft like anything with an Ellie tag. Does
the
a
fact
great
that
job.
Rog has the new base tabs is so nice. I started the league on it, and when I was level 92, Rock gave me a necrotic armor, and he rolled it for like 600 ES, and I was so tanky suddenly.
Yeah,
Rock
he gave me. I mean, the gear Rog's he's like triple res, you know, triple res tier 1 life, tier 1 move speed boots, like things like that. Like Rog has been shitting out, but Gwen is just like, and then Chujin was great early on for like baubles and like that sort of flask currency, but Gwenin is like comically bad. I mean, I wonder if the fact that she's not even in the town is just a testament to how fucking shit she is.
Yeah, that's true. Now that you mention it.
I mean, Faustus literally replaced her. So like, I don't know. Maybe they're just gonna phase her out or something. But yeah, that's pretty wild. But no, the ore's been like pretty stable. I would say it's it's a lot. Maybe I'll try like what you suggested, but the problem is I wouldn't want to do that until there's a quota of that thing at that place.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel
You
like I'm
definitely
missing
save it
out.
for quotas if you're looking for the uniques. Well, it's just interesting to me because I'm always blocked. Like my quotas are always limited by the ores, right? They're asking for like 200 crimson and then 150 orichalcum here. I never have enough ore. My crops are especially you can just go 6 times pumpkins if you need pumpkins, right? And then they produce like 10k per hour. They print that stuff.
Yep.
If you set it up. But ores are kind of slow to farm actually to play the game.
I've got 6 guys on pumpkins and I got 3 on everything else, and they're all ranked 9 or 10, and they're just going nonstop.
You shouldn't be doing that, by the way.
Why not?
Yeah, because if you have 5 different crops, you get 50% more yield.
I have 5 on each, and then I have a double on the pumpkins because there's 6 slots.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Yeah, sorry, I misunderstood you.
God, this guy is such a noob. This Legi guy, worst. Stinky.
Yeah, I tried to box seat Lighty, always, but he outsmarted
I want you
me
I want you in the front seat next to me. I want you to be my little passenger princess, you know.
Always.
But yeah, it's like just sending the nonstop crops and then just whatever they request from the thing has been pretty much the plan.
For me, I have the same sentiment as Manni. Like you just do a lot of like juicing stuff in Endgame that you just don't do a lot of mobs, and you just don't get anything ore-wise. Like, so I'm definitely interested in how much ore you can get for just boss rushing.
That's what I've been doing.
Very linear layouts,
Silos.
like fishing for Black Knight, right? That would be super nice, I think.
I think I've found 2 Black Knights during the stream so far. I think so, but it's
so
it's a lot. If you're just doing like destructive play silo nonstop, you definitely see. I mean, you're seeing 2 ores per map, give or take.
Lighty, you asked us all the questions. Well, what about you? So can you explain the silo strat? Because like I think I've heard some stuff. Like, do you just not kill the boss? Is that the thing with destructive play?
So it's pretty straightforward. So the way that destructive play works is after the map has been mostly cleared, it's going to spawn 3 bosses that all count as final bosses around whatever boss in the map you're fighting. Silo being a triple phased fight means that, and the same thing works for Desert Spring, by the way. For some reason you like that better, or Chimera, I guess. But when the first phase triggers, Maven spawns the 3 bosses. So if you do things like the Titanic scarabs or have anything that procs off a final boss, like the 25% chance for a scarab to drop off a final boss, all of those proc on the 3 bosses it spawns. So then you just blitz down the 3 bosses. And then as the boss goes and fucks off in his second phase, you just leave the map. So you actually never complete the Maven witnessing. And if for some reason you accidentally killed the boss, the only real repercussion is you have to go do a 10-way rotation to reset it. But it's kind of hard to sustain silos from doing silos, even when they're corrupted. But, you get 17, so you just go do 1 or 2 17s, and then you're good to go. But with the Titanic scarabs, like, they do drop a decent chunk of loot, I would say. For pretty minimal investment, and then you get Awaken gems, you get tons of Guardian maps. Like I've been doing it for Elder Guardians, I guess a lot. Try to get my my Nebulok. But it's pretty straightforward. You just run up and down. But you get like each map is giving me probably 6,000 to 8,000 gold. That's quite linear, and if you get like a Sentinel like I just got, it's pretty nice also because then you could just use a Sentinel on the bosses in the map room. If you have the Titan Scarabs and their 8 mods, the bosses get pretty juiced, and then you could do the thing with the exploration if you wanted to wisp them. But honestly, I found, like we talked earlier, that kind of just makes them harder and doesn't really give them more loot.
Yeah, wisp, they must be bugged, right?
It feels like the blue ones will definitely drop like 3 or 4 currency per mob, but the other ones just seemingly do.
Is that after they buffed it? Because
I don't know.
Like a buff about
I had it on
yesterday,
yesterday,
the blue ones.
And
yesterday, okay.
I just know that when if I have a blue wisp, or like if I have the thing on, and then the bosses get blue wisps, I'll noticeably see them drop like a couple chaos, a couple regals, like stuff like that. But if I have the yellow or purple, it's a negligible difference in the amount of uniques they drop. The bigger factor is just having an 8 mod map and more mods for the Titanic Scarab, like doing 8 mod silo maps that they get pretty beefy with that. And if they're ghosted and you have wisps and you have the Titanic Scarab on, those like end maps bosses will drop like 20, 30 uniques each, but they're extra fucking angry. I mean, it's like it's like doing the pandemonium thing. Like Easy mentioned when I was talking, I asked him, I think it was a couple days ago, about like what he was doing for uniques or something, and he mentioned the, every single reliquary scarab plus the pandemonium one plus the shrine one for all the Atlas bosses. Like when you start getting that up there, it's like super angry. But it's really, I've not been able to sustain pandemonium scarabs or the damnation.
They're very rare. The Terra.
They're really, really hard to get
of
those.
Terra is the other one.
So I just kind of do those when I have them, and then I've just been doing this in the interim, and it's like, like a decent production of uniques, but it's
well, some other maybe tech with the Titanics too, right? Like if you don't have other scarabs to fill them with, I've turned on the sacrifice frags because because you just put like a couple of those in it too, right? Because that buffs the rarity of the final boss too.
If you
right?
if you have like the suite of Titanic scarabs, so like one or two of each of them, etc. Glacier is super good because all those goats at the end, those 6 goats, they're all unique mobs, and it just like you're gonna get alpha strike by them, and then the final goat is like very angry. But you walk in there, especially adding the reward type ones, because for the reward types and then the additional monster modifiers, like they add. Like there's a flat amount and then like a percent amount of scaling going on there for like the reward types. So when you kill those 6 or 7 whatever goats at the end, it's a lot. And if they spawn in a ritual at the end, they drop all their shit again, which is kind of cool. Also, when you have those on, you get one of the crimson nodes. All those pustules, they're all unique mobs. Those all flag for unique drops as well. So there's like definitely stuff to do, but this kind of feels like when we went back to the OG Atlas in SSF, where it's like I have a chunk of scarabs for this thing, so I'm going to do that thing for a couple hours, and then I run out of those scarabs, and I go do my other thing for a couple hours. Like, I find myself bouncing between 2 or 3 mechanics pretty heavily. Like, with 3 different trees, it's definitely easier. I would love 5 trees, but then I'd probably ask for 7 if I had 5 trees, to be fair. But I definitely feel like at the moment in SSF, I have no problem sustaining, like, 3 different strategies at the same time, where it's like, I'm not doing anything really fancy. Like, half the time I'm just alch and going, but just like playing nonstop. But like, yeah, just like doing like, so I'll probably do like you mentioned the Legion thing. I'll probably do like a couple hours of the Legion thing. I'll do a couple hours of Ritual and a couple hours of this. And probably by the time I run out of one thing, I'll have enough of the other to do that thing. So that kind of feels like a good balance at the moment.
It comes with the scarcity of scarabs, right? Because you don't really sustain one strat anymore.
Which is fine. I think that's like
good.
Yeah. Definitely like it feels like an intended, not to make a pun, but an intended path for your character to take is like, they don't want you, I feel like outside of trade, they kind of seems like they don't want you to be just like honing in on one thing. That's kind of a more invested strategy, which like I think is good. Definitely feels healthy. It would be a little degenerate because then we would probably just find the best thing and then only ever do the best thing, which is kind of what Back to Basics felt like a little bit, where it's like, oh, this one thing dwarfs everything else because of 17s, because of how quantity works. And,
I mean, sadly, it's still 17s.
Well, it's definitely still 17s, but I feel like what you do in 17s is more open.
Yeah, you have more options.
That is
there.
true.
It's not
That
just
is
the
definitely
same
true.
But no, without question, like it's honestly very frustrating. I can understand from a trade perspective, because if you have a scarab that costs a divine, like you'd be fucking cuckoo crazy to use that on a 16 when it could net you 3 times the value in a 17. Like that's kind of what it's going to become eventually, if it hasn't already. For like a lot of those, like any strategy that uses expensive scarabs, it's going to be scaled off the most profitable thing you could do with it, which is the exact problem that bossing had with the Uber Keystones. Why would I ever use a regular Ceres when I can run an Uber Ceres? Because it's the same cost of entry. So that cost of entry problem has definitely been extended to 17s now, and it's not as bad maybe because of Back to Basics, but that mostly just made 17s more open, not so much fix the problem with I'm not going to invest XYZ into 17s. You know, like in SSF, it's I think it's fine because like I don't have a choice, since it's like I want to get uniques, I'll do the triple unique thing in a 16 because 17s are too hard at the moment. But if you're in trade, you'd rather just sell the thing and then, you know, buy what you want, I guess. But I don't know, maybe it's the ideology.
I kind of want to give a bit of pushback on that, because like I said, the 17s are, you know, the only way. It's not what I really meant. Like 17s are still insanely good. Like and probably in like perfect circumstances, you don't want to leave 17s just farm 17s. But like there's so many like 80% or like 90% efficiency, like currency efficiencies rather, are much easier than 17s and much more, enjoyable for a lot of people in 16s.
Yeah.
So like saying that 17s are the only thing to do. Yeah, if you maybe you're a completely degenerate minimaxer that wants to only be efficient, I'm sure. But like I just cannot, replicate this notion of like, 16s are not worth farming and like scarabs are garbage. No, that's not the case. Like 16s are still amazing. You can do so many strats. I mean, as I said, like with my Legion thing that I mentioned, like I literally found 2 headhunters in a day, or like so many uniques, and there is a lot of money to be made in 16. So it's not it's so black and white, but the loot multipliers are still there. So in a sense, then you kind of are at some point you're bound to do it. But yet again, like,
to your point,
it's not as black and
how do you feel about the new chisels? You mentioned loot multipliers, and I've kind of been using them sparingly, but like just because I don't really know what to do with them, I feel like a little bit. Like I'll use the rarity ones if I get a good rarity roll on a 17 or something, but I haven't really been.
The sad thing about them is you want to use them on 17s too, because that's where the best at.
Yeah.
Like 16s can only compete if they're 8-mod corrupted, but then you can't chisel them anymore.
Yeah. So that'd be a good change actually if they had said that they could chisel corrupted maps. And then you think that would maybe fix the problem a little bit with those?
No.
Okay.
Sure.
Cool.
The only one I think would probably be like the div scarab, maybe, right? Like if you're trying to go like Jungle Valley, maybe.
The div scarab is basically what div chisels is basically old div scarab, right? Just 100% more cards in that map.
Yep.
It's the only way we get that kind of multiplier anymore.
But wouldn't you? Are you gonna do that, or are you just gonna chisel a map and give it to your map runner to run? Gonna do a better job than you are.
I have given my map runner a T17. It was earlier. He didn't complete it, but
I did.
I do want to get my guy to complete at least one T17.
I did a lighthouse earlier, and I put on every single divination scarab, like the bottom one, the top one, the one that's supposed to make it like whatever better, and 8-mod corrupted, and I didn't drop a single div card in the entire map. That just made me depressed, and I went back to not using div scarabs.
Yeah, div card farming is
Just
pretty
pain.
sad, honestly.
I want to get a Death Oath, and I was like, let me do lighthouse, and like, oh wait, they're not dropping. Supposed to be common.
Like honestly, if you are thinking about in SSF, let's put that caveat in SSF. If you're thinking about like finding something remotely rare with div cards over just finding off the ground, just don't even bother with div cards, man. Like just get some common div card, like I don't know, Fortunate in your maps. Maybe like cope for a buffer carry over entire league to get one. But like specifically going out of your way, honestly, to farm div cards is just so stupid. I feel like an idiot because I did that myself because I wanted to farm my Hunter instead of just dropping one or like something.
I'm
like,
still feeling like an
so
idiot
stupid.
right now.
Yeah.
Like div cards seem now more like a passive thing, right? I don't think it's worth to sit down and say I'm gonna farm cards now with this card strat. It's just not gonna yield good returns. But since we can scry them now, you can farm your favorite map and farm whatever card you want in that map passively. Like you don't really farm it. That's probably the wrong word, but it can always drop.
Slowly accrue them.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
yeah, pretty much.
What do you guys think about the Nameless Seer? Because I find that
Nameless scammer now, even more so than
he is, a shell of his former self as far as what he offers. He pretty much now he offers like 5 to 7 uniques that are typically tier 2 and 3, I guess.
What?
Ballpark.
No, I don't even think they're well rolled anymore. Like I'm literally getting inventory of tier 4s and 5s all the time.
Oh no, I mostly get 2 and 3s.
I got some couple of good ones, yeah.
Yeah, I've not seen a tier 1, but I don't know if I'd call it luck. It's like I got a covenant
whatsoever
today from one that was like definitely better, and then a respite. I got a respite from one, but that's about it. Yeah, it's the scrying function's funny because at first I didn't understand it. So the first time I found it, I scried the wrong map onto the right map. Then I was like, oh wait a second, that's what that does. And then I also found it funny because I found a Nameless Seer in a Phoenix map. And the scry option's just not even there, which obvious, but it's just like there's just like a nothing window there. And then I also initially thought that I had to pick between the two, like I had to either scry or pick a unique. And I'm glad it's both because obviously scrying has limited, if zero, reusability after a certain point. But I'm not sure what his spawn conditions are based off of killing stuff, right? Because it seems like after you kill a pack,
it's the same condition, pretty much as like the Lantern last league. It chooses a random pack in that map, and then when you kill the last one of those, the Seer spawns.
Yeah.
So he always
Exactly.
spawns in it at the end of the map, basically, in the last like 10% of the monsters,
Yeah.
which is definitely a good idea. It's a very good solution. Otherwise, people will just, speed run through maps without killing anything to
Yeah.
find them. This way, we actually have to play the game to find them, which is definitely a preemptive fix already.
Yeah.
That's why I mentioned why full clear maps is really important. Like choosing really easy layouts to like make sure to easily full clear them up, which is quite important. So
Yeah,
something like
Silo.
Strand,
Sweet Silo.
Silo Strand, I don't know, Jungle Valley, like those maps are really, really good.
Toxic
so
Sewer,
like I would exactly like just try to think about always full clear maps in this patch, because Seer is mostly a scam, but you can get some cool things.
There's
I
just
mean,
no
I got a
reason
T0
not
from-
to. I guess that's the real
Yeah.
point. There's no, if you're going to be
Exactly.
playing for any sort of longevity, it's kind of like setting up your town properly or anything like that. If you have any amount of longevity in mind, and I've still been preaching that this league is going to be more than 3 months, like, as they all are. I think that
It's a 4-month league
it's
minimum.
it's a 6-month league. Thank you very much. But yeah, definitely like there is not to. It could be a bit of a bummer to get your Seer. So like if you want to do a Defile Cathedral, like it unironically could take you 100 Defile Cathedrals, to find a Seer to scry onto your Toxic Sewer, your Strand, whatever. But the good thing is if you're doing it to get a card, while you're farming the Seer, you could get the card you want. So it's not like you're wasting your time. Like if you're doing Defile Cathedrals, I think it was Neversink I saw on Twitter, said he was farming Defile Cathedrals to scry onto like a glacier or something, and he got an apothecary on the way. So it's definitely like you're not like going to be not getting stuff. So it's
it kind of
good.
happened to me as well. I was just doing sepulchers to like kind of
Doctor
scry
card?
it because it auto just works because it's a nice map, and it just dropped the doctor and
There you
trying
go.
to like get a Seer maybe. So yeah, it kind of works.
Mhm.
And the thing with Seer also is like you can incorporate so many like nice things when it comes to scrying, like when it comes like connected maps. I think Manni did their strat, so I'm not gonna
Well, Manni
steal
can
a
talk
spot
about
away
Yeah.
from him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
Manni
just
can
makes
talk
it easier
about
to stay in the map. Like if you're looking for a certain card, you scry it to the adjacent map as well, and now you can ping between two maps. And more specifically, you can run the scried to a map and give all the original maps to your map runners, because then they can find the card for you while you farm the scried map, and you sustain each other. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really, really cool
Meta
one. And like
strats,
you
secret.
you can make like a lot of pairs that like have different farming strats. So let's say, oh, I'm gonna put apothecary on this map and a doctor on this card, or like fortunate on this card, and you can just alternate or like do like multiple strats at the same time.
And some cards,
So,
some cards have 2 maps. Like the Doctor is on Spider Forest and on Sepulchre or Scriptorium or Sepulchre, whatever it is. So it's
And
Yeah.
Abomination, technically.
yeah, technically speaking, yeah.
Actually.
I mean, that's pretty much what I've been doing. I scried, like my first skill was from Sepulchre, and I scried on Jungle Valley, and I was getting Spider Forest because adjacent Jungle Valley while farming for Doctor. So it was like kind of a nice bonus.
Funnily enough,
But yeah, there's
the silos I've been doing. I actually wanted to keep the silo cards because I wanted the metamorph. I wanted to try to get a astral projector from the metamorph cards. So I was just kept it on, and now I've got 3 Fury Valves, which doesn't help me, but. Yeah.
You got unlucky then if you got 3 Fury Valves.
I think it's the rarer one, right?
Ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the rare one, exactly. Ring is the common one.
Well, that's life. Any other strats you guys want to talk about? Otherwise, we can maybe do some. I think there's a couple Q&A things. If you want to look at those, we can.
I was going to ask, how do you guys feel about the 17s in terms of difficulty now? Because they definitely nerfed them a lot, right?
Yeah, pretty fucking
And there's no
easy.
back to basics anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think only the bosses, they actually stand out now. Do you guys agree? Like, I think the clear, because last patch I feel like the rares were much harder than the bosses sometimes, but now, even when I juice up the rares with like Nemesis Scarabs, I feel like the real bosses are actually the bosses in the 17s. They can be pretty hard with the wrong map mods too.
Nope, I agree with that. It's also nice too, like that. Like there was some mods that, like, if they effectively doubled, you do no damage, and I don't know if you could even do that anymore, right? Like if you had like 50% less defenses, you could with back to basics, you'd have 100% less defenses, so you couldn't do like an.
I keep that on this. Like when I even on the Frostbolt build, I have ES. I leave that one. Like 1,000.
no,
I go to
I
1,000.
mean, like-
90% less AoE.
No, AoE I wouldn't do, but I'm saying defenses like that one. I previously I would have not done because I don't want any. I would have lost all my ES. But going from 4K to 1K is like fine.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe AoE is a better one, right? Because like
That one's still
it
a
took
no
me a
go.
while
I think
to even realize
that
that,
one I
like,
think is still a no go.
yeah, no, I agree, but like it took me a while to realize like 50% AoE, then 100% AoE, then my Stormbrand can't even attach, or
literally
Menace Brand can't even
negative.
attach.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
like it
somehow
doesn't even
killing you.
attach,
Yeah,
right? Yeah. So I guess that part's nice. So you can't like but then they made took out some. Yeah, there definitely feels easier.
But you know,
I'm
the
enjoying
real
T17.
wild one is so fracture mobs, right? Historically in PoE, fracture mobs didn't used to not give experience or loot, but the fractured mobs in 17s drop loot, which I didn't realize until I did one, and I was like, well, that's like hidden strats, I guess. I don't know. It's just like doubling some of your loot. Have you guys seen that? Have you guys interacted with the fracture one yet? Because it was giving loot for me, which historically it didn't.
I think they changed how the fracture mod
Yeah.
works. Like they explained that, so it's a bit different than it was. It doesn't like split to like 7 different monsters or something. But like
It was, I think a rare became like 3 magic mobs, and then they drop loot or something like that. It was
something like that.
It wasn't.
So
It
it's, like,
wasn't
not
a
very
total
impactful.
dead stat though, because it used to just be basically detrimental. But at least it gives loot now. Is there any 17 mobs that you're looking to get, like specifically like rolling for, or just more just the
I
map?
haven't really tried it. I've had the map mod. I never noticed any extra loot from it though, but I didn't pay attention to it.
Yeah, same.
Check it out next time. Like I used to previously. I would roll maps for like additional rare mobs, like and things like that. Are you guys rolling your 17s for specific modifiers, or just like looking for 150 rarity or 200 scarabs or stuff like that?
That's
it's
pretty
just
much it.
multipliers and map bots that you can run. Like pretty much look at the multipliers, look at the quant, and then if there's something that you can run, well, you have to reroll.
Someone in chat mentioned that they feel like the 17s are easier than, or the Ubers are easier than 17s. I previously, like without question, I would say that was the case because of back to basics and just how the 17s felt. I feel like they're kind of even now. Like an Uber boss is, if you're doing like a decently juiced 17, it's they're kind of comparable. I guess it depends on the boss. Like some of the Uber boss I think are a little bit on the higher end than other ones, but like yeah, it definitely feels more in line with Uber content. Have you guys done much for Uber bossing?
Yeah, I mean,
Not
nothing
really.
changed about them.
Yeah.
Not much to say.
Yeah.
I'm still not really happy with like the state of 17s. It's definitely so much better, but some of the mods are still
I just hate getting one Uber fragment.
Really annoying. Yeah, the fragment nerf is like annoying. That is true, but they did some good changes to them, but I think they need more changes still. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you still have the same problem that we had with Back to Basics, where like I feel like I have to take all the increased effect on the tree, right?
Oh yeah. I mean,
it's no longer Back to Basics, so it's no longer like up to 3x5 multiplier. It's only like 90% increased effect every map now, but that still means some map mods are just so absurd. Like
yeah.
I'm running a bleed guy, and if I roll the 50% physical reduction, then they have 90% reduction, and I really don't deal damage anymore. So that's like a complete break, and I have to reroll it every time. But it's still worth it because I'd rather spend some chaos than not have all the extra quant, right? So I still have to
feel that way for like a lot of the scarab nodes, and then honestly the shrine nodes. Like I think all my trees have all the map effect, all the scarab, and all the shrine nodes at this point. Like I feel like I want all of them always,
Yeah, especially since the multiply gold too.
Yeah, exactly. Was about to say that. Like it's exacerbated by the gold multiplier through quantity as well. So
yeah.
So I don't know if that's the problem with the mods themselves, or if it's a problem with map effect multipliers, like just too much or too plentiful. Like I don't know what is the actual issue, but something kind of would be nice to to give.
Yeah.
Something needs to change overall long term, I feel like.
Do you think the solution is just to put like I don't know, for the Uber things you could just put the fragments back behind the regular bosses, or like what is for that thing?
I don't think the fragment being behind the T17s is bad. I think that's good. Like in my opinion, it's good, but maybe maybe it's just the map mods that are not fun. So for what I would suggest, maybe like if I was in the dev seat, to like something to think about is like cut some map effect from the Atlas tree and like add a bit more like quant or like some kind of scaling that is not map effect, because that kind of is, you know, the thing that makes difficult things and like things scale out of the control.
They kind
which
of
was
added the system
even
just
worse
with
than
the toughness stuff, right? Like that was. It seems like that's the framework for. In a way, they could do a lot with that, because like removing like the concept that more difficult things should drop better and more loot, that makes perfect sense. Like if I'm fighting something harder, it should be more rewarding, and they could kind of do that same thing with all aspects of loot, I guess. And then take some of the onus off of the map. Yeah.
There's a very good point with toughness, like just adding DR to monsters over like adding freaking infinitely scaling AoE or less AoE scaling on your
just
character.
like breaking your build feels shit.
Yeah.
It's just that simple.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I'd rather, you know, if you want me to fight something that's for a little longer because it's tougher, or do you want me to like have to avoid actually pay attention to its mechanics? That to me that makes way more sense than just you're gutting my build because, or like forcing me to like chaos taxing me so I don't gut my build, because I don't want to run that, you know, physical damage reduction like.
And then incentivize incentivize me to actually run this, because there's no choice, because this thing drops like 10 times more scarabs or something like that.
Yeah,
and it just feels bad.
Yeah,
you're right. I think that's great point, Lighty.
Next patch.
See.
I'm at 56 elders, by the way, without a nebula. Isn't that cool?
That is very cool.
It's so cool. The good thing is, you know, these Hope Shredders and Shimmerons, they're like 60,000 dust each time. That's so much dust. More dust than you could ever know.
Maybe we can figure out what dust is actually good for, yeah.
I don't think I think you put 8,000 in and then you forget about it. I'm accruing it. I have like 4 million dust.
Send like 100k.
Well, it's just really crazy in trade, right? Dust is literally a joke, because you put in one, you know, Bloodseeker and you get 1.2 million dust, and it costs 30C. So there's literally like dust is totally useless for Trade League.
And people are saying that dust is kind of not even useful for actually getting good items. and shipments.
Yeah,
like that's what people say.
Yeah, I think I saw like a clip of Ben saying something maybe like that last night. Like it, you know, dust doesn't affect the shipments back. Change my mind kind of stance.
It's a theory. It's a theory.
Theory, sure.
Yeah, like the dust affects how much currency you get from the crops and how many and how well rolled things you get from the bars, but supposedly maybe it doesn't affect the runes you get, and the runes are only based off how many crops you send, no matter how much you boost their value by dust. That's kind of the theory, I think, but I don't think it's proven. It's just an idea.
Apparently Waggle has a video on it, says chat, so.
I mean, the consensus I think right now is that the runes depend on how much value you send.
Yeah.
And then the dust will help, but there's no reason to send more than like 10 or 20k dust, because diminishing returns. Like even if you send infinite dust, it times 4. It multiplies it by 4, the value.
Yeah.
But if you send 8k dust, it already multiplies by 3.
Yeah.
And then if you send like 1 million, it's like 3.5 or something. But yeah, there's no reason to send more than like 10 or 20k.
Especially when like I've gotten, I think 2 or 3 of my power runes have been from just like I'll typically send 8,000 dust and maybe like 10,000 crop of like a variety of crops. Like that's like the bread and butter ship I'm sending most of the time, and those are the ones I'm getting power runes from. So I don't even, if I knew there was like, if I knew to send 1 million dust, I would get a guaranteed power rune. You know, I would. Like that would be a thing I would actually work towards. But
try it.
I will try it just for you. I'll put 1 pumpkin and 1 million dust. I'll be the king of the castle.
It's like finding a needle in the haystack. Find the pumpkin and dust pile.
It's true. Yeah, the pumpkins, sweet pumpkins. I'm gonna say something wild, but this is kind of, I think when I get my sword from the bandit, I might just stop my map runners totally, because I want to do some stuff that might not get as much gold, and I feel like I don't want to feel like I have to get gold constantly, and the map running is like 90% of my gold usage. Having map.
I gotta say, I got 3 or 5 power runes from the bandits. I'm believing in them.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I'm the bandit, you know? Maybe it's
Yeah,
me.
you're just noob, lady. Just get
I'm-
more gold.
I'm number one noob. I want to let's pull up these Q&A questions so we could
Let's do that.
wrap up here kind of. I gotta find my website. Most of these questions are gonna be fucking stupid. I could already feel it.
I mean, they're from the chat. So,
No surprise.
There's a couple. All right. So I'll just read through. I'll parse them as I'm looking at them because some of them are gonna be stupid. If they could open a portal to the pirate boss, why the fuck are they using ships? That's a great question. That's a great question.
It doesn't really make any sense. I was wondering the same thing. Like, why the hell do we just port
I
it to the
don't know.
pirates right away? Like, and then they're just waiting there to get murdered, and then they release your dudes. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
this
Why are
It's
they
really
fighting the
stupid.
bandit in like a burning town? Like, whose town is that, and why is it burning?
Why is the
yeah,
portal
exactly.
only work one time? Also,
Yeah. Why does the freaking pirates not on the ship? Like, if he's commandeering the ship and like boarding things, like, shouldn't we be fighting on the ship?
Yeah, we should
yeah,
be
it's
fighting
just on
on
a
a
little
ship.
island. Yeah, very true.
Do you guys even notice the small pirates on the side that like they yell like "take this" or something, and they
Yeah,
shoot
yeah.
cannons at you?
Yeah, they're to be fair, I think all of those bosses, I name lock on them and then I look at my phone. So I'm not even really paying attention. Like they're the bosses, I think mechanically so cool. Obviously, like some of them are literally just like basically ripped from other content. The Black Knight is just the Crystal King, effectively. That's like retooled, but they're
Yeah.
super cool and thematic bosses. I love the arenas. I love the thematics of them. Think they're like really, really
Agree.
healthy, like kind of, I don't say noob fights, but they're like introductory to mechanic fights that are really, really good. Like circles on the ground, bad. The stand behind the rock so the beam doesn't hit you, even though the beam I think does 2 damage a second. Like I get it. Like those are all cool things. But they literally are like the most outgeared and outscaled fights in the game. I feel that you could just once you get a certain level of gear, like 80 all res and like 1,000 life regen, you it's like impossible to die to them. Which
It's like
is
they
great.
forgot to scale them or something, or maybe they
Yeah.
forgot a 0. I don't know. But the design, I agree. They're really fun.
I feel-
Well
I
designed.
feel like it's by design though, honestly, because like if you fail that,
it's one
you
portal.
gonna
so-
lose like so many
No, it's
dudes and so
brutal.
much gold. So I think they made it easy on purpose.
Like imagine you
So,
lost. But you know what's really curious? I bet you how many people have died to them versus just misclicked a portal and gone back out. Like that's got to be a crazy ratio.
Yeah, I hate to admit, but I have not misclicked a portal until this morning, and it felt bad to lose all my mappers.
Because you
Like,
literally
What?
you lose
Oh,
every single mapper,
no.
right, of that portal.
it hurt.
That's insane. Like that's
Hey.
that's millions of gold in value potentially. If you lost like
I did. It's been $1 million to get the mappers back, right?
oh my
Like,
god,
I mean, you just go farm it again.
It's
no
so
big deal.
dumb that there's like no confirmation.
Yeah, no
or
like
something
click.
like that.
Yeah, no confirmation. There's confirmation like leaving lab. Like, yeah, if I had one gripe or one improvement for the league, give like the same testament to lab
honestly,
when you
why
leave
is
lab.
the portal even there? If the whole point is you're supposed to teleport in and then
Yeah,
fight the
Maven
boss,
it,
either
right?
you
Take the
die
portal
or
away.
like the portal should be there when you kill him or you die. You don't need a portal because you're dead. Like the portal should even be there in the first place.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. Honestly,
There's one portal, but you can't use it anyway. So it's like it's I don't know. Anyway, yeah. If someone chats in, they disconnected and lost 9 shipping people. Like that's pretty. The downside's massive. It's funny because the downside that's the only thing that does scale is the later in the league you interact with them, the worse it is probably because if you lose like 6 rank 5 mappers, whatever, you rank 6, rank 10 mappers. That's a big boo boo.
I mean, I feel like they're much easier to get now, though, the improved rerolls. Before
Yes.
them, it was like insane. I thought we would need like month to get fully level 10 mappers, but then I started an SSF
It's just
right
a
after
ton
they
of
buffed
golds,
it,
yeah.
and I've just been spamming them.
To be
Like,
fair, it's not about
been
getting a
select-
rank 10 mapper. It's about getting rank 10 people that don't also have high ranks on their rolls, so their costs isn't
But for the-
ridiculous. Because like you get a
Nah,
rank
the
10.
mappers are the hardest to get, right?
Well, yeah, but if you get a rank 10 farmer, it costs 300 gold an hour. If you get a rank 10 farmer who's also a rank 7 mapper, it's 1,000 gold an hour. So like the problem is you have to get people sometimes that don't have these secondary
Yeah.
rolls. That's
I
where
think
you're like
18
min
farmers
maxing
is
it.
the hardest, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have to skip some of them.
18
Mappers,
farmers
you
at
also
Ram
need
Ranch.
18 of them, but they die a lot, so you need more than 18 there.
I agree.
Farmers and mappers are both the ones you actually look for in the long run.
Speaking about you, Manny,
Minus
there's a question for you, by
smelters.
the way. The question is, why do you
eat toast the long way?
Yeah, why do you eat toast the long way?
No, it's a question if I do it like that, not why. don't twist it.
Maybe.
What do you mean eat the long way? Like cut it the long way?
I don't know. That's not my question.
I should try that. I mean, it sounds like a baguette then, right? You just cut it in the middle.
You forget it and forget it. Yeah.
That sounds tasty. I would eat it.
There you go. Why is card farming so bad in 3.25? I think we talked about it, but there's I'm sure some card farming is good. I think it's just most like maybe it isn't. I don't know. I haven't had any luck.
The only reason really, there's only one reason, and it's the removal of divination scarab with no compensation. Last league we had 300% increased cards, so quadruple cards, and that's gone now. And there's a semi-replacement with the chisels, but the numbers are too low on it, and it's too rare, and you can't put it on corrupted maps.
Has the quantity affected this at all? The quantity change for uniques?
I doubt it. I think the quantity change is mostly for stacking tons of like wanted rarity in rares and uniques.
Yeah.
Like going for these like 8 mod rares that are 4 times ghosted, like the meat sack farming, that kind of stuff got nerfed mostly. Yep. But I think a blue pack drops the same amount of stuff as before, pretty much.
Nice.
It's just that you don't have a quadruple multiplier for cards anymore. So you can't really target farm cards, right? That's the problem. You can't really do a strat that is farming cards. You just do anything else and the cards will come passively because you can't target them anyway.
Were the drop rate nerfs too heavy-handed, or was it necessary for the health of the game? I don't know exactly specifically what they're referring to.
No ground loot. There's just no ground loot this league.
Yeah, no ground loot. Nothing drops.
Nothing drops.
To be fair, I feel like I definitely feel like there's less ground loot, but any amount of ground loot that we lost is definitely you've re-added through the mapping and the ships. Like if you do feel like even a third of the loot from the base game is missing, we're easily getting it back from the mappers and the ships constantly churning. So yeah. I understand that sentiment, but I think if you're feeling like that, you're probably not doing the mechanic enough or correctly, because it's every 2 hours you get 36 maps of loot that are being shed upon you. So it's, Yeah.
I have a pilfering ring that tracks the drops. I have like, I think 17 divines on it, but I've had 70 or 80 divines in total. It just only a fifth of them have been drops.
Yeah.
Which is it doesn't. I'm missing the tinks,
Yeah.
Like all of these Valdo boxes, most of them I get from the map device too. You just basically you pick up gold and then you turn it into divines and puzzle boxes and other loot, which doesn't feel as satisfying probably than finding them on the ground, but
yeah,
that's just by design.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think honestly, I think that the map loot, like the loot on the ground, is fine. Like I think people are just crying because
says the guy finding 2 headhunters in a day. Loot is
okay,
fine,
I'm not. Shut up. No, but like real talk, I feel like that the state of the loot right now is kind of healthy. Like you can still scale it very nicely. It doesn't have the outliers, and there are strats that I think were not discovered yet to like scale it properly. So honestly, I feel like the level of drops is fine. Like card farming is not fine. I feel like if we would like to farm more divination cards, like that is not fine in my opinion. So we kind of need help on that front.
A strategy is completely gone, right? Like this whole idea of I'm a div card farmer. This is what I do. This is my job.
Well, that's the problem. Is like you're describing. This is PoE, right? Like this is if the game changes and our job is to react to how the game changes and we have to change with it. If you go against the grain, you're going to have a bad time. It's kind of like playing the same build after it's been nerfed 3 or 4 times, then being curious why you're having a worse time. It's like, yeah, you're going to have a worse, like what you're doing is now worse, but there are equal, if not better things that exist out there. You just have to be more adaptive at what you're engaging with. If anything, it's the most healthy thing because it's promoting you doing mechanics or things that you wouldn't have necessarily done. Otherwise, everyone would be playing the same build and doing the same things all the time. So,
I mean, let's be real. What happened was why people are crying as much is because like some, Snap released a video that got popular on Reddit that the way the group plays to generate infinite amount of loot on the ground got nerfed because it was by design and people are just freaking parroting that because they're complaining and that's what's happening. Why we're having this, entire conversation while ground load is bad. And honestly, it's not that bad. You just have to scale it the different way and like do new strats and just go out of your way to actually discover new things that that be added through the scarabs. And we have 5 scarab slots, so you just have to adapt a bit and instead of crying.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that because I've been that person last league. I've been sitting at like day 5 of the league and with Headhunter and crying like a little baby because they nerfed my bow character, or like they nerfed my thing, and everything is hard, and I cannot do T17 maps. So just get a thicker skin and just adapt.
Just
and
keep playing.
You're gonna have a better time.
Just keep playing.
And just play the game. Yeah.
Yeah. If you if you're like feel like you're not proficient, you just have to just play for 16 hours a day and then don't stop. And it doesn't matter what you do, really. Because you just keep playing Path.
I don't know. I think you still can ask questions and like just discover things. Like you just have to obviously be more engaged with like the game is changes. But yeah, I can sympathize with people like feeling, oh, my strategy that I really like doing got completely disintegrated and nerfed. So that kind of feels bad sometimes. That's why I mentioned like specifically difficult farming.
I've just never heard that sentiment from someone who's played Path for years. Is the thing. Like that's a sentiment I think from somebody who's new to PoE, maybe relatively. But if you've played Path for 4, 5, 10, 12 years, this is the same song and dance literally every 4 months, where something that some people were doing now doesn't work, and there's a new thing that is just as good somewhere else, whether it's a build or a strategy or a specific boss farm. Like if you don't adapt for the situation, you're gonna have maybe a worse time. And like that is the literal entire game has been this way since the beginning. Sometimes sometimes DD does persist for 2 years, and like that's not necessarily a good thing. So when you get so comfy, like if you just started playing when DD was good, and then you just rode the two-year detonate dead wave, and you're like, wait a second, my build doesn't work as good now. It's like, well, yeah, this is how the game's been for literally the entire time. You're just now feeling the repercussions of it in a way.
I think that entire notion comes from the kind of the stagnation of PoE balance for like last 2 years. I think a lot of people joined when they just didn't do enough changes to the game, and like
very possible
builds didn't get changed.
But that's
and like people just complaining now because we're actually getting changes.
I still feel like it's still the people's fault because they're choosing to play. Like I understand that these are the builds that maybe people advertise. Like if you looked at popular YouTube videos, it might be the same 3-4 builds for 3 years in a row because those are the ones that are popularized. But there are literally like fucking hundreds of builds on PoE Ninja that people level 100 in the most obscure jank setups ever. Like there's people doing things that you have no idea about. Like just last night I was looking at a new COC build for assassins that's like COC Soul Rend that looks so cool. But you're not going to pitch that to somebody who's like been playing the same 3 cookie cutter builds for years. Like, so, like if you could think of a skill and you think, oh, that skill's not good. Like some dude leveled it to 100 in week 1, almost every single league. And it's like totally viable, especially now, like any single melee build is basically viable in this patch. They've all received like double to triple damage. So it's just like you're choosing to do these things. But I do understand why you feel that way, which is, I guess, what you're saying, like, and like the stagnation's because of that. And it has to do with the time you came in, but no one's making you play like what you would describe as a meta build. So expect meta repercussions if you play a meta build. Like if you play a build that is super popular, then you're going to expect it to receive more attention, probably negatively, the following patch. And it a little bit is like the content you're doing can be specific towards that, but it's kind of irrelevant. Like if I try to do perforate for Legion, I'm going to have a bad time because it doesn't have good clear. But if you just ask the question, how many builds have screen wide clear? There could be 20, 30, like any single bow skill, any GMP returning caster. Like there's so many that fit that shoe. So it's like there's no shortage of things you gotta play. You just have to like choose to dig around and find something cool. But that part's on you. I
mentioned the stagnation mostly like because you brought up.
Well, I think you're right. I think you're right though. Like if people come from Diablo, or LE when it's off season or after they finish their 3 days of play to max their character, and then they're like, all right, time to dig into PoE. What's popular in the YouTube PoE builds? And then you see like detonate dead 5 times in the first 5 videos. Like, all right, cool.
I mean, mostly what I referred to like stagnation was that just a period that we didn't get like many changes with the league. Like Crucible League had a lot of cool builds through like year, but like the skill balance was like kind of very deceptive or like non-existent kind of. And I don't know, like there's not been enough changes for like last 2 years, and there's been a lot of people that joined the game like because Diablo 4 failed or something like that, and that's been happening.
But to your point though, the same, like I've talked to people like this, and obviously that's not representative of all people, I understand that, but the same people I speak to who complain about like being no new content haven't touched most of the content in the game. So like I'll talk to someone and be like, oh, there's nothing new. They're like complaining nothing new, and it's like, oh, have you ever, and then they've like never delved or never heisted or never done Sanctum. So it's like, I think people forget how big PoE is, and they put themselves in kind of a narrow blinder because they see like maybe certain people doing certain things, but there's like 30 fucking mechanics in the game, and most people haven't done, I think, really delved in, like pun intended, but like delved into most of them. So there's no shortage of, like, there's such a backlog of content. Like for us, we've done it all. So obviously that is more prevalent, but like there's such a backlog of mechanics people have barely interacted with.
Yeah, I think people just don't realize how much shit and how much content PoE has. Like I just think people are just absolutely unaware compared to like other companies. Maybe like Blizzard with WoW, like they are actually started adding a lot of stuff now. But like compared to a lot of like gaming companies, like she just adds so much shit so frequently.
Yeah,
and people just
there's
complain.
also so many different angles you can approach the game on, hardcore and softcore and SSF and trade and off meta builds and strong meta builds, and like, I don't know, the game feels so different in so many ways.
For sure.
If you want it to feel different.
Move on from that. It was a tangent and a half.
What was the question again?
It was about drop rates or something. I don't know.
Nerfs.
Something about Manny's toast.
Something about toast.
Yeah, Manny's toast. Yep.
I mean, I think if you completely ignore the league, the ground loot is kind of bad this league.
Sure.
It is heavily shifted into the town for sure.
Yeah.
I guess I can agree on that. Why does it hurt when I pee though? That's the next question.
Why does it? That's a good question. That guy should go see a doctor, probably. You're ASAP. Yeah. Straight to the urologist. Someone asked, what do you think about the Glad rework? Is it enough for just flavor of the month? I league started Glad and played it until 98, and I got pretty good gear, I would say. It feels really good. I don't think it's flavor of the month. I just think that scaling bleed kind of has I'll say a cap, but like it's a little annoying because it's less obvious to scale bleed than you think because of how it works. And also like all roads I feel like eventually lead to some sort of charge stacking for a bleed build and gladiator in general.
Wait, what? As in like the green charges from
probably. Like I think eventually.
Always lead to adorned. Still.
Yeah, you do both probably. I would, because there's just like there's only so many ways you could scale bleed. There's like on gear. It's like there's not that much, I feel like. So you want more damage. I feel like you're gonna end up using a usurpers with like a mage blood and then strangle gasp and having Ralakesh boots, cap charges on a slayer, probably using flesh and flame to grab glad.
I mean, you're kind of saying glad equals bleed, but there's like almost no bleed synergy on glad other than the pops, right? If you want to really scale bleed damage, you play different ascendancy anyway.
Probably.
Yeah,
but
that's
for the glad stuff. I will say the block stuff is really nice. I like that. And the counterattack
block
stuff
is so good
nice.
right now.
Yeah, block feels good.
I mean, about the question, I definitely think glad is very strong right now.
Yeah.
It's not just flavor of the month. It is definitely inflated. Like we're not going to have 28% players start glad next league, but it's definitely very good.
It's comfy, and I think it also really
explosions
helps
alone carry so hard. Like you don't even need damage on your build. The explosions 20% every monster guaranteed. It's like occultist, but guaranteed instead of 25% chance. It's so good.
I think playing a glad also makes people better, and I'll explain why. Because like it makes people better players, because you have to play you're in melee, right, for the most part, and if you're playing a block build, you have much more opportunity to learn a lot of boss fights and like learn mechanics of interactions. So I think a lot of players who are playing like melee glad for the first time this league are probably going to go much further next league because they've learned, I think, a lot more about interactions through the
But
ability
if
to like block and
they
then
learn to
like,
face tank things they shouldn't because they just block them.
I
now.
think the things that you're gonna face tank that are gonna kill you are probably gonna kill you regardless eventually. Like if you're face tanking like Maven stuff, you still have to learn where to put the balls, and you like the beam is still like it's not 100%, you know. So I think that that's like the teaching lesson there. 'Cause every now and again those things will just hit you. But yeah, it definitely seems good. Of all the melee stuff, I don't think any of them have felt like overrated. Except for my hands. War crying on my hands hurts, but aside from that.
I would, to answer the question, I was really down on Glad at the start. I thought the Glad was like a failed rework, and I was like, kind of whatever. But the more I like thought about it over the league, like how much people played it, I think it's just a comfy league star ascendancy that, and that's mostly what people are looking for when it comes to melee. But like, you just wanna vibe, have like a lot of avoidance, like some pops with like nice sounds, and like scale to 16 is just all can go vibe. And I think Glad is amazing for that. So I think it was just a good rework at the end of the day, even though like it doesn't have like the giga scaling angles, like let's say Slayer, for example. So honestly, I think Glad is great. So
yeah,
even though like I probably would not play it myself, most likely.
The only Ascensi that I saw reworked that I didn't have any interest in playing was Champion, to be honest. Which
what,
it,
Yeah, I
it-
mean,
what
it
is
just
what
got
is
nerfed.
what is a champion?
yeah,
What is a champion?
to me, yeah, that was. And I guess the only thing
Yeah, that you mentioned champion, right?
Yeah.
Of all the reworks, the banners are kind of a bit under the radar, aren't they? Like a bit underwhelming. I haven't really seen many people use the banners much. That was like one of the things they reworked.
I was using it on my Gladiator because it gave 50% more damage when you spec'd into the wheel. And it felt like very noticeable for that amount of damage. But aside from that, like it was just I just didn't want to do it. I just prefer being a one button build, and I didn't feel like dealing with it. It definitely wasn't as impactful
Makes
as
sense.
totems, but every time I didn't use it for a boss fight, you can notice the difference in DPS. Like it felt like to me like a bit like
Yeah,
war
obviously.
crying. Like I didn't want to manually war cry. I was going to automate stuff if I was going to do it. You know.
I mean, it's
exerting.
honestly so nice to edit the automated walk rides, though. Like giving us the option to do it. And
the
it's
only
not
thing I
even
wish
weak.
is
It's
the
actually
masteries
thing
and
to
the
do oftentimes.
clusters. I think that's like a double bummer. Is the fact to like the price you pay for the war cries to use them automated versus manual is the reservation. You don't get the buff effects. You just get the exertion part. Like that's like the price you pay. But almost all the war cry support when it comes to clusters or masteries specify when you use a war cry and not when they're auto exerted, which I think removes a lot of that fun part to it. Now, that being said, I understand why they don't want you gaining 15% life, cleansing your ailments, getting all your charges every 15 seconds. But I feel like if you reserved your entire mana pool on 6 war cries, that's like almost fair. Like it feels like it's an extra punishment because at the moment, like 90% of the war cry stuff is on use and not like unaffected by. So that kind of stuff is like a little whatever, but I get
I
it.
feel like if they increase the reservation auto exertion, like from I don't know,
The
it's
real
like
killer is the
15%,
mana
right?
cost. Yeah, but the real killer is the mana cost. It's not even the reservation cost. It's the fact that they use the mana cost when they auto exert still. And that if you don't have on like Elrion rings and like the split mana thing, it's like 10 or 12 mana per exert that's autoing like every 2 seconds. It's like a lot of mana. If you're blood magic, obviously doesn't matter, but you know.
Yeah, I can imagine. But like, I feel like that could be fixed with like just increasing the reservation and like letting them exert anyway. Like even through automation, they could exert, but like the reservation would be like bigger. But like I see why they done it the way they did. So I don't know. Like I'm not a designer, so I'm just throwing ideas. But I don't. I'm not gonna press war cries myself.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not a piano gamer. But either way, if so, next question: as they add more things from PoE2 into PoE1, like gold, etc., at what point of adding things is it pointless to play PoE2 for any other reason than the first playthrough or a harder challenge? I don't think anyone can answer that question like factually because PoE2 isn't out. But
we will see at the end of the year what PoE2 is actually.
So. And I who knows if it's harder? All I know is is so far it seems honestly simpler, but I don't know if that makes it harder or easier. Because if it, I'd imagine it's honestly going to be easier. Obviously, it's loosely baseless speculation, but just the fact that who they're advertising the game to makes it feel like I think it'll probably be easier for people who already play PoE1. There'll be a lot of unlearning to do, though, especially if there's WASD movement. That'll be a whole other tactile experience.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting going. Yeah, if you wind up playing, if they stagnate the releases like they said they would, like every 2 months, like play PoE1 for 2 months and then go back to PoE2. It'll be interesting for sure.
I'd like them to just commit to 3-4 month leagues, and if they're doing that, versus just so the math works out nicer. So it's 2 months PoE1, 2 months PoE2.
Yeah, I hope so. That is the case. I mean, that's what they've been doing right now. So I hope they continue doing that. Honestly.
Kind of piggybacking on that question, someone was asking, what do we use gold for aside from the town? As far as like, would you use it to get gear from Faustus, early league, or that sort of stuff? And I definitely did. It was great. The shop kind of works like Expedition as far as like its item level. Like once I think it's like level 90, it starts giving ID6 stuff, give or take. So I think I waited till I got level 90. Like I probably just did like my white and yellow maps did all of them like day 2 or 3. And then I got level 90. Then I like just started buying like axes and belts. It was really, really nice for belts. I remember specifically because there's not that many belts and a belt can't roll that many things. So getting like life double res stat, that sort of stuff was like pretty easy. And especially for other slots that like don't require like I wouldn't.
But that logic, IDing one is easy too then.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, well I also was IDing them, but the Faustus was smart rolling loot. That was why it was much better there. Like he has definitely a higher quality like whatever rare outcomes. And then same thing like I used for gloves and helmet, like other slots that I just needed the 4-link and I just wanted like life double res. He was definitely really, really good for that. Because it's just like it was like ROG, but I didn't have to spend effort on Expedition. Like ROG still just will do nothing but give you life triple res gear. He does that so often, but it was good.
I felt like with the town existing, it felt really bad using Faustus after campaign. Like during the campaign, I sometimes bought something if I had like a horrendous slot and I still need to upgrade.
It was expensive, yeah.
But once you're in maps, I feel like I wanted to spend every single piece of gold upgrading the town to get it to snowball that as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And I think I didn't regret that. I think it was the right choice. And then Faustus kind of becomes relevant pretty fast. Like you really didn't want to delay your town right now.
Yeah, I don't think I Faustus one time personally. It's probably the wrong move, but I don't think I've interacted with him once yet.
I actually used the wand from Faustus quite a bit. Like I used something like 100k on Faustus at some point, like week 1, and it was okay. Like I got couple good items, but at the end of the day, I think the real approach is just snowball your town. Like that will give you more over time.
We didn't even mention Recombinators. Have you recombinated anything good?
Oh, I did. I can show you. Hold on. Now, I will preface this with I've probably done 50 axe recombinations to get this, right? But I have an axe that has tyrannical, flaring, and celebration on a one hand. And it took like so many fucking attempts to get.
Wow,
but
nice.
I do finally have like a really nice axe. But it was like, I mean, I probably spent 500,000 dust and gold easy, and then like 100
Is that the
bases.
Maven's chest?
Yes, it's a 6 white doppelgangers, guys.
That's a cool build.
Well, the problem is doppelgangers, guys, I really wanted to use because it's like so strong. I feel like a lot of the fizz taken as being removed in places, like the fact that it works on dots as well. Like the two things this build dies to is chaos and fizz dots, especially. So made sense. But the problem is getting 6 red on a doppelgangers is like not happening. So because it's evasion int, I think. So I just said, all right, well I got a double corrupted, so I did that. It wasn't too difficult. But yeah, recombinating has been like kind of successful, but like definitely not easy. There, like I mentioned this thing in the previous one, but there's no reason not to recombinate stuff if crafting. You know, like if you're
Yeah,
doing
exactly.
if you're crafting, you may as well like try, especially with essence. I think and fizz weapons, it's really easy. You have a deafening of contempt, for example. You slam that on a fizz weapon, right? Okay, so now you have the equivalent of like almost tier 1 flat. So then you just roll in a second weapon like 1, 2, or 3% or hybrid. There's no reason not to just slam them together and see what happens. Like there's the downsides basically nothing.
The downside is you have to get a new base type, right? Which for weapons
Yeah.
is super easy.
Yeah, it depends what it is.
When you're
yeah.
trying to make like a titanium spirit shield level 86, even in tier 70 maps, I only find like one
Yeah,
per
or
map,
like,
and then
you know,
it's kind of hard there.
86 Stygian Vices, it was a little annoying to go through a bunch of them, like just keep having to get more.
I
Or
mean,
like
you can
American
print them
weapons.
with scarabs. Like I printed so many of the scarabs. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it depends.
but
If you
yeah.
had like cerulean rings, or like that might be really annoying. Like there's definitely
Definitely.
certain things that'd be a bummer. That's not even to begin mentioning like the quality. Like, you know, I basically said you can't recombinate if the item's past 20 quality, right? Because it's gonna be. I haven't even found a single 30 quality item in this league, and I just found
30
my first.
quality is
I
non-existent.
found a
basically.
29 when we were at like an hour ago on a helmet, but that's like I don't even know what the point is. You know, that's whatever. But the recombinators have been fine. It's just like it's weird because it's like there's no point to use them until you have it maxed. First off, I feel like because it's like
Yeah, I learned that the hard way.
There's and even if it's like not a big difference, it feels like kind of like why not just wait?
My
definitely.
my best use case. I mean, it's probably other people probably do this too, but it was the temple gloves, right? And then like recombining like the temple mod of the glove onto like a T1 evasion base or something, right?
Yeah.
So and then ideally, if you run a bunch of T17s, farm the Velar gloves or whatever they're called, and then you roll those for either maybe like T1 accuracy or T1 suppress, something that's not targetable, and then recombinate those, and then if you luckily hit the base and you also hit suppress and the temple mod, then you could suffix lock reforge chaos or suffix locks reforge speed for attack speed, and you can kind of make some sick gloves like that. So most of my recombing has been those temple gloves.
Yeah. I wanted to add to that because, like, I think a lot of people think about recombinators the old way because they kind of don't realize how impactful the changes are. Because back in the day, recombinators just didn't really care about mod weights, right? So, for example, like Tyrannical had like 25 weight, or Merciless rather, it's like 25 weight. So it was pretty much the same odds of recommending that mod with something else than like recommending T10 mod right there. So that is the biggest change of recommenders, that the mod weight matters. So you just have to think about them with that in mind, and like choose your battles wisely. So like the thing that Easy mentioned, for example, the gloves, like suppression, attack speed, like temple mods, those have decent weight. So those are pretty okay odds to recombinate. So you just have to, actually think about it in a bit different way than you thought about before. So especially with like essence mods are kind of high weighted as well, so they kind of tend to stay, right?
Yeah. I kind of did the opposite, where I just because like I was trying to make a fizz weapon, and the weights are fucked like either way, right? So like if you don't have flaring or the essence modifier, it kind of didn't matter for like the flat, because the flat craft is like so shit. So I just kind of went for the quantity volume, where I just like every time I slapped a deafening of contempt on something, right? I would just roll cruel, tyrannical, merciless, and I would just slap them together. And I was like, all right, this is going to work, right? Like it has to work, even if it's a 5% chance, because it kind of is like it was a little non-negotiable from a weapon standpoint. Like there's no, unless I was going to fracture something, there's just eventually I had to get something of a large substance for a weapon. So it didn't feel like using a low weight there was like as good.
I think Manni wanted to say something. Am I misinformed about the recombinators? Is my take wrong, or should I? Am I just spreading misinformation right now?
No. I was just sad because one of my sailors died. But
yeah. Okay.
Recombinating weapons is hard, yeah. Like I don't think it's a viable strat anymore.
But there's no reason
it is kind of free, right?
Yeah,
there's no reason not to do it, but it will probably not work.
Except it did. Eventually. That's the point.
Eventually, okay.
Eventually, it's but that's literally.
Chances are you hit something with essences first, though. I think, but I mean, it's just as you said, it's just a free second chance.
I don't think that's true because I think hitting a tier 1% or tier 1 hybrid off of a contempt I think is more than a 1 in 50. I think over the course of you recombinating 50 axes, I think one of them is probably going to eat both mods successfully. That's the thing. It's like the odds are not great. So the best case scenario is you get fractured hybrid, right? Then it doesn't matter if you get fractured hybrid on a fizz weapon. Then you could put on a contempt, craft 130 or veiled mod, and then you've got something that's of substance either way. But like the odds are not great to just actually essence into it. But I don't know. I haven't farmed out fracturing orbs in a while, so I can't tell you.
When you do other craft with Recombinators, you actually have such good chances. Like people are so like shoehorned into thinking about weapons because that's what we used to make, and they're very nerfed there. But I mean, as you said, they're still actually useful there. But in other slots, they're actually much more powerful.
Triple res stat, like that sort of stuff, is pretty good.
Yeah, like what East described, right? The temple stuff.
Yep.
I've made triple tier 1 energy shield items, 2 of them in a day so far. Like a helmet and a pair of gloves that have perfect energy shield prefixes.
Yeah, Ward
the
also.
only sad part
Ward's
is that the Recombinator rerolls the Sacred Orb roll, so...
Yeah.
Luckily we have a lot of Sacred Orbs from the ships, but otherwise it would be pretty painful to fix them.
I haven't gotten one.
I think the best use is actually like some special mods, like Essence special mods, like Temple mods. Like I linked the belt that I made, like with 2 Recombinators, just use an Essence, like the Shock Avoid Essence with like some nice thing that you're gonna get from Faustus Rogue.
Storm Shroud
you can just combine that.
that.
So yeah, that's pretty much my Storm Shroud build, exactly. So like you can exactly do that, like just pick your battles wisely, as I said. So stuff like suppression has really high weight, attack speed has really high weight, like even life has really high weight. So like those things tend to be being kept while recombinating. So just don't think about like picking 20 weight things that as Lighty is suggesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it might work in 1 in 200.
Yep.
Maybe if you're gonna just throw it all the time, sometimes it will work, but in 99% it's not gonna work. So it's
ain't
about
good,
use.
But it's all we got in this dark world,
No, it's not all
I think
we
they're
got.
gonna
It's
be a
just
key piece really of crafting. I think we're gonna craft a lot of things with Recombinators because in Gold and Dust is infinite, right? So they're basically free to use later on in the league. So
it's free to use, but the emotional cost is not free. That is draining.
That is true.
We have two more questions and we'll wrap up. So someone asked a question regarding low risk leveling after 90. They said I suggested Abyss. So yeah, my starter atlas had Shrines and Abyss, and I used that to level. And it was like you get so much experience from Abyss, and then Shrines is super good. I was doing those, and that was pretty low risk. Do you guys have any suggestions? I know a couple leagues ago, Easy was doing like those Trop Islands that were basically white that he was just blitzing through with like kind of map drop setup for trees. Is there anything equivalent now, especially with the lack of domination scarab of teaching? Any great ways to level that are pretty low risk?
I mean, not really. There's nothing like cheese strat as domination strat. So honestly, what you want to do is just press domination on your device. It's good for gold anyway. You want to do that anyway. Just put some easy alked maps and just blast and like get some map sustain on your atlas and just just do a lot of maps. Like if you want to do betrayal can be safe as well. Betrayal is always good. But
I mean, domination is definitely an amazing pick because it also makes you stronger.
You think betrayal is safe though?
I wanted to continue that. Like if you roll your maps without damage mods, then you can do betrayal. Otherwise,
you get assassinated by a rogue fucking. You get pinned down for 30 seconds by Val Rain of Arrows.
So yeah, TLDR. This league is Shrine League. Just get some rarity and click Shrine always, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, domination's. I feel like domination's probably get nerfed in some way because like having like 3 or 4 shrines, all that give you 2 minutes of double shrines, especially with like the fact that the gloom and the charge shrines are on the base pool now. Like they feel super fucking strong.
Gloom's so good.
Gloom real good.
So
and then one last question is they said hello. just finished upgrading my town.
Hi.
The center, the
Hi.
center to max.
Hey.
But the rest of my stations are around level 5 or so. In what order? I would say when it comes to priority, like mining should be number 1, because once you get that rank 11 mining, you start to get gold as you get mining resources, and then that was the most important thing I think for me to learn. What about you guys?
Well, I did 2 restarts, so I actually have some experience and learned from the first one. Ignore the recombinators, ignore the enchants, and ignore the mappers for as long as possible. It's much more important to get the farmers up and running. They're very important. Farmers, miners, smelters. That's where those are the resources that build the town, right? So they snowball you.
Yeah,
Nothing to add. Manni did the restarts, and he knows.
he's the
what
restart boy.
Talking about.
Yep. Yeah. The only thing I would add is don't do what I did. And like I said, just recomb until I think I recombed like multiple pair of temple gloves thinking you could put them on. And I was just unlucky at least like 20 or 30 times until I realized it didn't work. Versus upgrading my town, which, yeah, looking back, I wish I upgraded my town. I didn't waste all those bases and money on them. But live and learn.
You'll
Yeah,
live and
don't get
learn.
baited by Reddit strats.
Yeah,
Another good suggestion.
just a good life suggestion.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that sounds good. Anything else you want to add, Easy?
Nope.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. I'm good. Thanks. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for putting this together as always. Thanks, gentlemen.
Leggy, how about yourself?
Don't farm div cards this patch. Don't be stupid.
Don't farm div cards. Farm drops.
I just spent a week farming my Ruslavos cards. Don't call me
Did you
stupid.
get your
Week?
Ruslatha?
Yeah, I have it now.
Like an actual
week.
week?
Basically to level 100. Like I just ran the maps that drop it until level 100, and then I found 9 cards.
There you go. Lucky man.
Slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely. You could find any of these people on their places, their Twitches, their Twitters, their Discords. Thanks to Leggy, you could click any of their names in the title of the stream, and it'll just bring you right
Yay.
to their thing. Or you could just go on the team page that also just has all of our shit. And this will be up on the YouTube sometime tonight after it processes. And I guess that's about it. We're going to all go back to playing Path now, and then trying to get our shipping uniques, because they're not happening, but they're there one day.
See y'all in hardcore solo self-found.
Yeah,
Yep.
unironically, we might all be having to restart because to redo our quotas. All right, thanks guys. I'll see you guys later. Thanks everyone for listening.
Yep. Thanks for having us.
And
Yep.
Was
that's
great.
it. You don't have to
Thank you.
go home, but you can't stay here. Bye
Good
bye.
luck. Bye-bye.
Yeah.